I was in Alaska. He's special needs. His life's in danger. Somebody's not right there with him.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Kelly Clark is suing his former employee, Mercedes Trujillo, for causing damage to his BMW.
Order. All rise. It's case number 314 on the calendar, the matter of Clark versus Trujillo.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Trujillo, how do you know Mr. Clark?
My father actually knew him from high school, so I ended up working for him and taking care of his little boy that's 9 years old.
How long have you been working for him?
I worked for him since October of 2017 till about September 2018.
When did you borrow his car?
At the beginning of September.
Had you ever borrowed his car before?
Yes.
How many times?
I couldn't even count how many times.
But often?
Yeah.
Did you
Before
ever
I bought
use
a
his
car.
car when you were taking care of his son?
Yes.
With his permission?
Yes.
So far, is all of that correct, Mr. Clark?
Yeah, she did. As far as my personal car, she didn't really borrow it much. There was a van that...
Personal car she never used?
No.
Is that correct?
No.
The personal car was the BMW?
Yes.
Tell me when and under what circumstances before September of this year that you used his BMW?
It was times like when we were on our way to Canada, he would make me run to like Food Town, which is a little grocery store.
Where do you live? In what state do you live?
I lived at his house in Utah with him.
In Utah?
Yes.
Just the two of you?
No, it had his girlfriend, daughter, son, and all his employees.
And what was he doing in Canada?
He traveled from Canada and Alaska because he owns properties out there.
And you would go with him?
Sometimes.
And when you went with him, he took the BMW?
No. When I took the BMW, it was before. We take his RV, but I took the BMW to drop off bills, and then I came back and went in the RV.
How many times did you do that?
It was only a couple of times with that car.
So only a couple of times that you drove the BMW?
That one, yes.
But you drove the other car frequently?
Oh, yeah.
Now, you asked to borrow the car in September of this year.
Actually, he offered the car.
Well, the only way he offered the car is if he knew you needed the car.
Yes.
It's like, well, he offered me a loan, but nobody offers you a loan. Like, I wouldn't go up to Bird next Wednesday and say, would you like a loan? I would only ask Bird if he would like a loan if at some point he needed money. Then I would say, Bird, I understand you need money. Would you like a loan?
Yes.
So somehow... somehow, he knew that you wanted to borrow his car.
I never wanted to borrow it. It's just my car wasn't registered, so he offered to let me take his car to Lake Powell.
Okay. It's clear she drove your car with your permission.
Yeah, can I clarify one thing?
What?
There's two BMWs involved. The one that she is talking about that she used other times is one that she convinced me to sell to her. The BMW that we're here today on, she didn't use that car.
All I'm suggesting is she used your cars frequently over the course of a year without incident.
My BMW, I sold her a couple times she used through the course of the year. Brody's van was what she used other than that.
What I'm telling you, she drove your cars,
Yes.
both the BMW and the van, frequently, dozens of times, without incident. Sufficiently so that when she was going on this little weekend trip, she borrowed your car with your permission.
Yes.
And it is your claim that when she returned the car to you, it was damaged.
Yes.
So, Ms. Trujillo, we're going to come to you.
Lake Powell, I believe September 3rd or 4th. I'm not too positive on the dates. And
For how long?
For 2 nights. I was just going.
Did you have any difficulty driving to Lake Powell?
No. When I first got the car from Casey, his witness, there was a tire.
Casey? That would be you.
Yes. When I got the car from him, there was a tire light that was on, so I got out and checked all the tires to make sure it was fine, and it was all fine.
You didn't check them by going in and measuring the air with one of those wackadoodles?
No,
you know?
I didn't
You
do
didn't.
that.
But you just looked around.
Yeah.
Like a girl would do. Well, they don't look flat, they're fine. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So tire light, well, you should know. You're a big girl. You should know if a tire light is on, it usually means something's not right with the tire. The car is not trying to trick you.
Well, with BMWs, lights are always on. It's a glitch constantly.
Is there a problem with the tire?
She actually, there's a bad sensor on the tire, and I thought she knew about that sensor, but Casey knew about it, other people knew about it. It's been just a sensor that I just haven't replaced, and I've had it checked out.
So it's fine.
Yes.
Next, so the tire light was on.
Yes. So I got out and checked them, but I did text Kelly, making sure like the oil and tires were fine. He did confirm that they would be fine. So.
Well, why would you test for the oil and everything else?
Well, I texted that before because when you go on longer trips, you know, it's just car maintenance, I think.
Maybe. Would you do that?
Sure.
Oh. If a car is supposed to have oil, it has oil. That's get in the car and you drive it.
You want to make sure that it's the proper level of oil.
Anyway, what year car was this?
What year?
2008.
So it's 10 years old.
Yes.
So you had no trouble driving there. Did you have any trouble driving back?
There wasn't any trouble, but an ABS light came on, so I pulled over and I got out of the car. I made sure I popped the hood, see if anything was wrong. I checked the brakes.
ABS?
Yeah, it's like a brake light, I guess. I looked it up and it said that it's a BMW glitch, and
Okay.
I know.
So that you saw an ABS light.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
And you dropped the car off.
Yes.
Any other problems with it?
No.
And you dropped it off on the 6th?
It was probably the 6th or 7th.
When did you stop working for Mr. Clark?
It was probably 10 days after that.
Did you have an argument over the car?
No.
So why did you stop working for him?
His daughter actually kicked me out of their house, which then fires me.
Was Mr. Clark at home between the 6th and the 10th?
No, he was in a part of Alaska that had no service.
Do you know why your daughter fired her?
She never got fired. That's false. I was in Alaska. She was the one in charge of my son. We were under a very not right there with him. Full-time
How old is your
oxygen,
daughter?
GJ. My daughter's 15. Well, she just turned 16, actually.
So was Miss Trujillo the only adult in the house?
Yes, she was the one in charge of everything.
How old are you, Miss Trujillo?
I'm 20, but
Okay, so she's 20, your daughter is 16. When you came home, she wasn't there anymore.
Well, I found out while I was in Alaska because we had to scramble out of the bush and we had to get out and I had to get back and help my son.
Do you want to tell me the circumstances surrounding you being thrown out by his daughter?
yeah, so me and her were having arguments and just little drama things because her boyfriend came to town, and 15-year-olds when their boyfriends, you know. So I told her, I was like, I don't want to go to Alaska, and then she told me, just pack your stuff and get out then. And
you
her
didn't want to go
boyfriend,
to Alaska for what?
I had to go with him to watch his little boy. And with the drama between him, or his girlfriend and his daughter, I just thought it was too much, and I said I didn't want to go, and that's when she kicked me out.
Where was his girlfriend?
With him. The drama happened
I had
before
to fly
that.
her home. I had to fly her home because of my son and to have
Oh,
somebody
that's a
there.
good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to deal with a 15, 16-year-old teenager and a 20-year-old nanny.
Yeah.
That's
Well, I thought I had it
really an
under
interesting
control.
combo
Yep.
in Utah. Utah?
Utah. And I
Utah.
can clarify a little of that, how it ended, if you want me to. That's up to you.
No, your car. I'm waiting for evidence.
Do you want me to go? I've got stuff for you for sure.
Well, you weren't there.
Oh, just, okay.
You weren't there when she came home with the car. Who was there when she came home with the car?
My girlfriend, Michaela Jensen,
Where is she?
she couldn't be here because she's with my son.
That's
She
a
had
problem.
to.
That's
Only
a
person I
problem.
had.
Who is here when she brought the car home?
My mother.
You were there when she brought the car
No,
home?
I wasn't there.
No.
The same
No,
day.
she says she wasn't there when she brought the car home. Your daughter was there when she brought the car home, and your girlfriend was there when she brought the car home.
My girlfriend was in Alaska still.
Fine. Only your daughter then was there, and your son. Mm-hmm. And then she left on the 10th. You came home, and you found the car damaged.
Yeah, we didn't have any keys. She ended up with both of my car keys, so she had both keys. When she had dropped the ball on Brody and wasn't showing up, and I scrambled to get Michaela home, when Michaela got home, she needed to have a vehicle. So she went to use the car. She had to get a hold of Mercedes. Mercedes then brought her the key up, and that's when everything surfaced.
I don't know that, sir, and you don't have a witness to prove that.
She did sign to do a phone thing if we need to. It's just I had nobody to care for my son to bring her here. There was no way.
Can't help you. Should have brought your daughter.
Well, she's actually, I didn't think she was of age, plus she's on a cruise. Timing was real
She's
bad on
what?
that. She's on a cruise right now.
She's on a cruise.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I loaned out a vehicle that was severely damaged.
It's ridiculous.
Cost me over $5,000 to fix.
Like a week later, I got told that there's all these damages.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Judy versus Castro. Step forward.
Jasmine Judy is suing her ex-boyfriend, Rosdy Castro, for his share of a loan to take online classes and for airfare to Mexico.
Ms. Judy, you and the defendant were in a relationship which terminated when?
In July of this year.
At what point did you take out this loan for classes that you want him to pay for half of?
We took out that loan.
No, that's not a we. That would be a you. You took out the loan.
Well, we agreed on it, taking out the loan together.
You took out whose name is on the paperwork?
Mine, but we took it out together in agreement.
No, your name is on the loan. When did you take out the loan?
Okay. In on May 22nd.
Of what year?
Of 2017.
And the loan was to pay for classes.
Yes.
What kind of classes?
Finance class.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a server at a restaurant.
Is that what you're still doing?
Yes.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a bartender and server.
And these classes in finance, online, how do
Everything was done online, and everything was done with a professional via, like...
Online?
Online. So there was logins and everything.
Did you finish these classes?
We did finish the classes.
What were you doing before you took the classes?
Oh, I was still a server.
And you're now a server?
I'm still a server.
So you're still a server. So
yes.
You finished the classes, you're still a server?
Yes.
And you took these classes?
I attended a few of them, yes.
You attended all of them?
Just a second.
I sat with her in a few of them.
Just a second.
You sat at all of them.
You interrupt, you're gone.
I'm sorry.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How much was the whole thing online?
The online course, he negotiated the price down to about $10,000.
I didn't negotiate anything.
You negotiated a price down to $10,000?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jasmine Judy says her ex-boyfriend, Rosdy Castro, owes for his share of online finance classes and airfare to Mexico.
Now, you took these classes?
I sat on a few of them with her, yes.
Great. And you started out, you were a bartender?
No, I was a server when I met her.
Server. And now you're a bartender?
Right.
That has nothing to do with finance, right?
It does not.
So I gather these classes that you took were worthless in finding either of you finance.
Well, we wanted to pursue more, just to find more things that we can do to further our finances together. As far as living as a couple, we wanted to eventually get out of serving, at least I did, and to just further our education on how we can better, like, handle our finances.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of online. That's just my thing. First, they got you this class. You took a few for free.
Yes.
And then they said, oh, well, if you take a lot more, you really be successful. So how much was it?
Initially, the class was free, like you said. And so then we attended that, and then we agreed to pursue it further.
How much was the whole thing online?
The online course, he negotiated the price down to about $10,000.
I didn't negotiate anything.
You negotiated a price down to $10,000?
You negotiated the price down to $10,000 because initially when we went to the course and we took the classes, those after the 3-day classes,
I mean, you go to a place to take the 3-day classes?
We went
so they get
like,
you?
It's a
they
seminar.
get you by coming to a place, and then they say you can take the whole thing in your living room.
So it was a 3-day course, and then...
For free?
No, that was a $250.
How does that translate into $10,000?
So I'm getting there. So after the 3-day course for $250, you gave us prices for further classes. One was like $15, $20, and then some odd, like, high price. I don't know. It was ridiculous. He showed me the price, and I was like, I can't do that. The next thing I know, he's talking to the same advisor, and he comes up to me and is like, babe, come on, let's do it. I didn't just negotiated down the price to $10,000. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. I even have a statement from the advisor.
Negotiate something?
You did. I don't know.
Don't give me a statement from the advisor.
So he
Don't give me a
negotiated
statement from the advisor.
Okay,
so you
that's fine.
signed up for these classes, and that was May of 2017?
May 22nd of 2017, yes.
And when did you finish the classes?
June, the classes started, and they lasted 6 weeks.
6 weeks for $10,000?
You know, I wouldn't have, like, I wouldn't have done anything like that had I didn't have his support. It wouldn't have gone that way.
So you want him to pay for half the classes?
I mean, because he took him with me. He's the one that said, like, hey, let's do it. He's the one that negotiated down the price with the advisor. So I'm just like, okay, we have each other's mutual support, so therefore we can do it.
So far, he's taken the classes with you. Great. Let's say he sat with you and took every class.
He had interest in it as well.
Great. He had interest in it.
Yes.
He had an interest in it. He even negotiated the price down.
Yes.
He even said to you, come on, babe, let's do this.
Okay, so that
Great.
seems like someone who wouldn't...
Point where he's responsible for half your loan.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There has to be some indication from him that there was an agreement with you that he was going to share the cost of this loan with you. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So I taught you something about finance, and it didn't cost you $10,000.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jasmine Judy says her ex-boyfriend, Rosdy Castro, owes for his share of online finance classes and airfare to Mexico.
Okay, go ahead.
He actually ran his credit before mine. So he ran his credit, so it shows some sort of interest in it. And then when his credit bounced back, when he's saying they couldn't be approved, then, okay, whose credit is left? Mine. That's why my name is in it.
Just a second. Let's say all of that is true. We're missing an element here.
Of when he negotiated the loan.
How can you negotiate something like that?
You did. You can. It was $15,000 before, and then you negotiated down to 10. You tell me how you negotiated it.
Miss Judy.
I got skills.
Goodbye, everybody.
So,
Do you understand? Okay. When did you sign the loan note?
when we were talking with the advisor.
So that was in May?
In May.
And when was the first payment due?
The first payment was due on the 20th. Next month, he made the payment.
In July, did you make the payment?
I can't recall.
In August, who made the payment?
August, we both made the payment. So
No. I want to see each month that you paid the loan. The loan was how much a month?
$309 about.
Well, you actually took out a loan for $12,200.
Yes, because that was the loan. That was the minimum that the bank would allow.
Well, what'd you do with the rest of the money?
We put it towards a monthly payment. So if you see, like, at some months down, it's like a $2,000 payment.
Where's your bank statement?
I don't have one.
Get it.
On my phone?
I don't care how you get it. I want to see if any money came out of your bank that go to this loan. Now, I see when hers comes out, but there are months in between when there's nothing. So I have to assume that if there's nothing, that means you paid the months that are not here, which looks like almost every other month.
Mm-hmm.
That's a not a uh-huh.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, would it be a fair statement that until you broke up, you were paying every other month?
I was helping her financially.
I said paying the $155 a month.
Helping her, yes.
That's all I wanted to know.
No.
So that is some indication, Miss Judy, that there was an agreement that he would share the loan with you.
Yes.
You see, do you understand?
Yes.
There has to be some indication from him that there was an agreement with you, a contract, that he was going to share the cost of this loan with you. By him paying every other month, that is evidence of his intent to pay half the loan. Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So I taught you something about finance, and it didn't cost you $10,000. So what's left on the loan?
So we had a trip to Mexico.
Forget trip to Mexico. I'm not interested in the trip to Mexico for your friend's wedding. How much is left on the loan?
Balance on the loan today is $6,598.69.
When did he stop making payments?
He stopped making payments on July 15th of this year.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She ruined it.
We just went in two different directions.
She cheated on me.
Things were just going bad, especially for him and trust.
Not only once.
I asked him to forgive me because I did love him at the time.
She told me the first time, and I went through
100% back on me.
I just want to move on.
I'm not going to do it at all unless it's in both of our names.
You try to hustle them.
I'm trying to make a living, Your Honor.
A car flipper in a fix with a mechanic shop.
You say, I'm not paying my bill, my car's for free. A couple of $1,000s worth of fixing that you want for nothing.
But looking for a discount backfired.
I was arguing with Jeff, and that's when Ed comes out with a pipe and says, leave my dad alone. Next thing you know, I'm on the ground.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Lawrence Pearl is suing auto shop owner Jeff Bloom and his son Ed for damaging his car and for an assault.
Order. All rise. Case number 305 on the calendar, the matter of Pearl versus Bloom.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Pearl, you brought your car into the defendant's shop, a car that you intended to flip for mechanical work on the car, perhaps some body work on the car, I don't know. And when it was time to pick up your car, there was some sort of a kerfuffle at the shop. You allege that the defendant and his son assaulted you. You want to be compensated for that assault. And you also say that there was some damage to your car during the course of this kerfuffle that you want them to be responsible for. The defendants say that actually you started the kerfuffle at the shop when you came to pick up the car. They are suing you for an unpaid bill for the car because you didn't pay to have it fixed, for storing the car for an extensive period of time, and for an assault, although neither one of you were injured. Is that correct?
Right.
Good. All right. So, Mr. Pearl, how long have you been in this business of flipping cars?
Since probably 2000, 18 years.
And how many times have you used the defendant's firm to fix up cars?
About 5.
That's 5 cars excluding this one or including this one?
Probably including this one.
So 4 other cars.
Maybe 5.
Let's say
So
5
6.
others.
Yes.
Now, I assume that since you look like a relatively intelligent man, you would not have returned 6 times unless you were satisfied the first 5 times.
Well,
That's not a well. If you say, no, I wasn't satisfied, then I'll go
no,
further.
I wasn't satisfied.
Then, the first 3 times, why did you go back again?
I was dealing with their mechanic who had had his own shop up until May. And then at that time or sometime before then, he stayed at the shop for about a month and a half. All my dealings were with Lyle. That's the owner.
Just a second.
The mechanic.
No, they're the owners.
Of the shop, correct.
Where he was working.
Correct.
And you understood that he worked for them, even though previously he may have had his own shop, and you dealt with him independently.
Correct. And
correct. Just
can
a
I
second.
say something about that?
No. I'm getting it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then Lyle no longer had his shop. He went to their shop.
Correct.
Now, when did you bring the subject car into the defendant's shop?
I originally gave it to Lyle after I purchased it in March.
Just a second.
Under the contract. Go ahead.
Joan?
Sorry.
Is what you're telling me that when you brought this car, what kind of car was it?
98 C-Class Mercedes.
When you brought this old Mercedes in to be fixed, to be flipped, did you bring it to Lyle's old shop, or did you bring it to the defendant's shop where Lyle was working?
Old shop, originally.
You brought it to Lyle's old shop in March.
Probably February, yeah. When I bought it...
Just a second. You know, now I'm not believing you. Do you know what I mean? You're getting uncomfortable with my questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You're getting uncomfortable, so let's go back. When you brought the old Mercedes in to be fixed for the purpose of flipping, did you bring it to Lyle's old shop where you had dealt with him previously, or did you bring it to the premises owned by the defendant where Lyle was now working?
I brought it originally to his shop, and then he brought it to their shop.
So is what you're telling me Lyle still had his shop in February or March?
Correct.
Okay.
His location.
So, what?
His location.
You know, I'm not believing you. Do you know I'm not believing you? Because you're getting what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am.
You're smart enough to get what I'm saying, but it's not going to help you.
Okay.
So if what you're telling me is that you brought it to a point in a parking lot that used to be Lyle's old shop and gave it to him, but the car was being taken to the defendant's shop, don't play cutesy with me.
Yes.
I don't like it.
All right.
Do you understand? You can smile all you like, sir. You have a great smile. It doesn't work with me. I'm old.
Yes, ma'am.
Great. So if what you're telling me is you dropped off your car with Lyle knowing that he was taking it to the defendant's shop, then that sounds credible. If what you're telling me is some cock and bull story that you dropped it off at his old place, but then he took it to their place and you didn't know about it, that I don't believe.
No, I did know.
All right. So then why did we have to spend this 5 minutes? Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So what I'm gathering from your paperwork, your claim is when you dropped the car off in February or March, knowing that Lyle worked worked for them in their shop as a mechanic, you made an arrangement with him that Lyle would fix the car for free in exchange for you loaning his girlfriend or his sister or somebody else a car for the 4 months that it was going to take to fix the car. Now, you didn't discuss that with him.
I did.
All right. In what month did you discuss that, and with which Mr. Bloom?
With Jeff.
Jeff,
Jeff
raise
is
your
the
hand.
owner.
Okay.
And I
Just-
had told him that I have 4 or 5 other cars. I want to give him business, but this deal was between me and Lyle.
I just want...
Sorry.
I want to know when you told him that.
Shortly after.
No, Lyle moved in. You said you gave Lyle your car in February or March.
Correct, but he was actually living at that shop for about a year, intermittently, or a month. Sorry.
Yes.
From.
You understand that this is not going well for you.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you gave him the car in February or March, is what you're telling me that the car sat at their shop from February or March until May before you had this conversation with them? That's what you just told me. That's on tape.
Yes, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, I
Well,
had conversations with Jeff.
That you can't do. It would be as if I went into Neiman Marcus or Bloomingdale's or Lord & Taylor or one of the big shops, and I went up to the handbag department and I saw a really nice Nancy Gonzalez bag that I liked. And I said to the salesperson, I really love that bag. And I'm a good customer. I come in and buy presents all the time. But I want you to give me that bag. And in exchange, you and your sister and your mother and your favorite 2 nieces can come for a taping of Judge Judy and have lunch with my crew. And she said, oh, that's fine. I'm going to take the bag. I got the tickets. They came and they had crew lunch, and all of a sudden, bag. And you say, you know what? I'm a really good customer. I'm going to spend thousands of dollars in your store on pocketbooks. This one's a freebie. That's what you did.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you did. And, Mr. Pearl, it was sneaky, and you shouldn't have done it. That's all. So that what happened was, according to the papers that I'm reading, then you go to get your car.
Correct.
And it's had a couple of $1,000s worth of repair on it. And for whatever reason, they've already fired Lyle because maybe he made this arrangement with other people, too. Who knows what he did? I don't know why they let him go. But by the time you went to get your car, Lyle is no longer employed there. That a fair statement?
Correct.
And then they say, to pay your bill. You say, I'm not paying my bill. My car's for free. I already gave you the crew tickets, and you already got to see a taping of Judge Judy. So you already got the benefit of the deal, or Lyle did. I want my car. And that's when the fight was on. So there was a fight and a pushing and a shove.
There was not pushing, ma'am. That was...
Fine. So somebody came in.
I was arguing with Jeff, the owner, outside, and that's when Ed comes out with a pipe and says, leave my dad alone. And I turned to Ed and I said, Ed, we're old men. We're arguing about $300. We're not going to Ed to stay out of it. And so I come back to Jeff, arguing with him, and next thing you know, I'm on the ground.
Just a second. You're on the ground. You're on the ground because the son hit you with the pipe.
No, he pushed me. Him and Sean pushed me down, and I hit my shoulder on the fence, and I have a picture of that.
Just a second. So nobody hit you with a pipe?
No.
That's good. So he pushed you down along with somebody else?
Correct.
Another person who works there?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to see the medical report that you have of your injury.
Yes, ma'am. This is the original Dr. Bill from...
No, I don't want a doctor bill. I want a medical report of your injury, not a doctor bill.
Okay, here's a medical report from South Coast Medical, and here's the physical therapy that resulted after.
Okay, and that's a report, not a bill.
Correct.
Okay, good. Okay, so you had a swelling. They gave you an ice pack. That's what it says here.
Yeah.
Referral to Laguna Rehabilitation Center. When you
Correct.
thought that there was a lot of insurance, okay?
They also said contusion. I'm sorry.
Mr. Pearl, so that was on June 29th. So the next day you went to the medical group.
Correct.
What's the name of the attorney you contacted?
Eric, but I just contacted him for advice.
Just a second.
Yeah.
Do you think a man like you goes to all this therapeutic exercise nonsense unless an attorney tells him to do it? Do you think that I believe that?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
To subjugate the situation, Lyle offered to have his girlfriend buy the car, and that's when I sold it to them for basically less than I paid. I lost money on that car.
Who cares? That's what happens when you're a hustler.
I'm trying to make a living, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lawrence Pearl says auto shop owner Jeff Bloom and his son Ed kicked his car and assaulted him. The defendants are countersuing for services, storage, and assault.
Now, nobody who looks like you goes to all this therapy, seven therapeutic activities, $45, $100, $145. Look at these pages. Because you fell on the ground and somebody gave you an ice pack.
That's not
unless you spoke to a lawyer. Okay, very good.
Can I continue, Your Honor? There's more.
You got your car back.
After a few days.
Just a second.
I got up, and they were all yelling at me to get off their property, so I went to get into my Beamer, and Ed kicked problems with my knees.
Just a second. Now I'd like to see the damage to your leg.
All right. There's both my shoulder and my knee.
Okay, so you had a scraped knee and you had a black and blue mark on your shoulder. Next!
My knee was swelled like in my head.
Next.
Okay, so I drove away and I was contacted
in your car.
by
Just a second. You drove away. Somebody has assaulted you.
Correct. I called the police.
And, just a second, police report. And then, did you wait for the police to come?
No, I actually went to the police department.
Oh. How far is the police?
A mile.
And then, what did you do?
I contacted Jeff and tried to make arrangements to get my car and told him that this is
from the police
not acceptable.
department?
Correct.
Then where did you go from there?
I wanted to get my car. I wanted my door fixed. I wanted...
Just a second. Where did you go from the police department?
I went home.
When did you go back to get your car? On what date?
I didn't do it. Lyle got it about 10 days later. I wanted nothing to do with them. And then I made request to Jeff to take care of my medical bills, and then I sent him an email about a week later and said, you know what, if you just pay for my Beamer, I'll be fine. And then my knee got worse, and that's when I started therapy. I need you to make a deal with me, either pay me for the Beamer and pay me for my injuries, or I'm going to sue you. And it never happened.
Mr. Pearl, maybe we're not understanding each other. Maybe we're speaking on different planes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When he got into his car, did you shut the door on him?
The door did close.
So you shut the door.
Yes, ma'am.
With his foot. Here's the picture.
It's just getting lower and lower. The number that I'm even contemplating is getting lower and lower and lower.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Lawrence Pearl claims auto shop owner Jeff Bloom and his son Ed kicked his car and assaulted him during an argument at their shop.
Now, you brought your car, the Mercedes, in to be fixed because you couldn't sell it the way it was. I assumed it had mechanical problems. Is that correct?
Fender, hood, and frame.
So it had physical damage to the frame. It had been in an accident.
Correct.
When you picked up the car, I'd like to see what it looked like.
I don't have that.
That's too bad. 2 weeks later, when Lyle returned it to you, was the fender hood fixed?
It was fixed subpar.
Okay. All very, very unfortunate. Did you, when he got into his car, did you shut the door?
Lie, Your Honor.
So you shut the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
With his foot. Here's the picture.
It's just getting lower and lower. The number that I'm even contemplating, which is low as it is getting lower and lower and lower. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
What you did was the wrong thing to start with. You tried to hustle them with Lyle and took the pocketbook, got the benefit of the pocketbook, and you brought in a wreck. The car was fixed to make it saleable if it had damage to the hood, and then no. So was it fixed? Yeah, but subpar.
So in order to subjugate the situation, Lyle offered to have his girlfriend buy the car, and that's when I sold it to them for basically less than I paid. I lost money on that car.
Who cares? That's what happens when you're a hustler.
I'm trying to make a living, Your Honor.
You know, everybody is trying to make a living. You can either make a living by screwing people or you can make a living by being honest. And in this particular situation, you were bartering with a salesperson from Neiman's. You weren't bartering with Mr. Neiman. You weren't offering them any benefit from your transaction. You were offering Lyle, so it wasn't costing you any money.
Jeff knew exactly what was going on with other cars, and I was paying them. I paid them on the truck. I paid them way too much on the Mercedes. That was never done right. And the bottom pay him, and I told him I was going to pay him for everything else. And he knew that that car was there for months, and I was bringing parts, and he was complaining about that, but I told him that it's going to be done. And when I finally got all the parts, Lyle did it.
Okay, now I'm finished with him. If he interrupts again during the course of the proceeding, then I'm going to just dismiss his case.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, take your hands out of your pockets, Mr. Bloom, and just tell me, do you have a printout of what work was done on his Mercedes in the 4 months that it was there at your shop?
I object to it.
Okay, so you had frame setup, pull core support, install front bumper, install both front headlights, paint front bumper, and install a grill. Now, when the car was picked up, who picked it up?
Lyle.
And you let him get it?
I let him get it.
That was an arrangement with the police?
No.
You just let him get it?
That was an arrangement with the plaintiff. They had talked about just giving him his car due to the fact that he was complaining about
injuries, and you said you were going to give him the car.
That's what my dad said, yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Pearl, what did you say to Mr. Bloom in order to get him to release this car that he did a couple of $1,000s worth of work on?
Well,
what did you say?
I had damages to the Beamer of over $1,000, and I had injuries.
Just a second.
I wanted my car back.
Just a second. So, is what you're telling me, Mr. Pearl, that you said to him, I have my injuries and there was damage to the Beamer as a result of being slammed or hit or whatever it was, just give me my car back. Is that what you said to him?
That's what I said.
Great. And you got your car back?
The Mercedes, yes.
Yes, your case is dismissed. So your counterclaim, we're done. Thank you.
What? Wait a second. Your Honor, he kicked my BMW into the... I have evidence. I have all the text just from...
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
He came all hot-headed.
That's a lie.
Pushing his finger and grabbing me.
We were just arguing about $300.
And my son was just defending.
When this guy comes out of nowhere and pushes me down.
I just can't let anybody touch my dad, and, you know.
They pushed me down. They assaulted me.
After you touch and push someone, punches end up happening.
Kicked my door onto my knee.
You can't walk into our shop telling us, give me my car.
I didn't press charges because I promised them not to press charges.
After we've done work on it.
Because they were going to pay for my Beamer to be fixed.
Insisting on it's your way or the highway.
And they were going to pay for my damages. And they lied.
I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anything like that. So, you know, best wishes.
This is not the Wild West. You don't come with people at a pipe with a pipe just because they don't pay your bill.
I hope not. Never to see him again.
The mauling.
Her dog began attacking my dog. It's not true. Excuse me, I'm speaking. Thank you.
I don't want to hear you.
The emotion.
Her dog had my dog in the air and was violently shaking her. It was the most traumatic thing I've ever seen.
The warning signs.
Your dog has had a history of violent behavior, which mandated your dog to be muzzled at all times.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Shiloh Fry is suing fellow dog owner Evelyn Homesey for vet bills and medical bills and punitive.
Order. All rise. It's case number 301 on the calendar in the matter of Fry versus Homsey.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Ms. Fry, it is your claim that the defendant's dog injured both you and your dog. The defendant's response indicates that the incident was your fault. You didn't have control over your dog, and she's countersuing for harassment, claiming that after this incident, you did, in fact, harass her. Ms. Homsey, on the date of this incident, which was the 25th of July of this year, what were you doing in the animal control clinic?
I was taking my dog Roscoe for vaccination and renewing his license.
What kind of dog do you have?
It's a boxer mix.
Did they do just vaccinations there, or is it a clinic?
No, they kicked me out of the clinic. They said that they're not going to help me at all because Miss Fry's dog bit my dog first.
No. You're getting into a whole story. I asked you a question.
Yes,
I said, does the clinic also treat dogs, or does it just give vaccinations?
I was told they only give vaccinations.
And what were you doing there, Miss Fry?
I was also there getting my dog vaccinated as well.
And what kind of dog do you have?
I have a 15-pound puggle.
And how much does your dog weigh?
80 pounds.
Do you have a picture of both dogs? I'd
Yes,
like to
Your
see
Honor.
it.
Because of the injuries to my dogs as well.
Is this your dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
It doesn't look like a boxer.
When I adopted him, I was told on his document he's a boxer mix.
Doesn't look like a boxer. I don't know what it looks like. It doesn't look like a boxer. To me, it has a long nose.
He's a mix. Boxer mix.
I know. I don't know where he's a boxer. Maybe on his left paw. Now, when you went into the clinic, was your dog on a leash?
She was. She had a harness, and a leash was secured to the harness. I had her very shortly on the leash because it's a very small facility.
Okay, that's my answer to my question.
Thank you.
Your dog was on a leash?
Yes, ma'am.
And Miss Homsey, was your dog on a leash?
Yes, on a short leash, ma'am.
Okay. So why don't you tell me what happened?
I entered the room with my 3-year-old son and my dog. I approached the counter to my right. It's a very small facility, so when I approach to the right, there's a chair directly behind me, a wall directly on the right side of me, and then the employee helping me. As I was attempting to sign in, Ms. Holmes's dog approached me from the left side.
Was she already there when you were there?
She was standing on the left of the counter, yes, at the far end, about a little more than arm's length. I didn't ever even sign in.
Not true.
Her dog came up behind me, forced its way between my legs, and began attacking my dog. I was knocked
Please
backward.
say the facts. It's not true.
Excuse me, I'm speaking. Thank you.
I don't want to hear you until I look at you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor. I fell backward. Her dog continued to pursue my dog, eventually catching her again, grabbing her by her back and her shoulder area. When I looked over, her dog had my dog in the air and was violently shaking her. It was the most traumatic thing I've ever seen. The only thing I could think was that my 3-year-old was watching. My dog stopped yelping at one point. I believed she was dead.
Fortunately, she was not.
She was not.
And you took her to the vet. That's what the case was about.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, Ms. Holmesy, I read here that your dog has had a prior history of violent behavior, which mandated your dog to be muzzled at all times when out. Is that correct?
It's correct that he had a prior from
Just
adopting.
a second. So the answer is yes. He's supposed to be muzzled at all times when out.
Which he was, Your Honor.
Well, the operative word is operable muzzle. An operable muzzle would have prevented the injuries that I saw to her dog. So if the dog was muzzled, muzzle didn't work. And if the muzzle didn't work, that's not the dog's fault. That's your fault. Now, the prior incident with your dog happened when?
When somebody else adopted
No.
him.
What year?
I don't know. I didn't have him when it happened.
So is what... You have it?
I have a copy of that incident report.
I'd like to see it. So what you're telling me, Miss Holmesy, is that you took this dog, you adopted this dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And you adopted a dog that you knew was required to be muzzled when out? I'm just trying to follow this. Is that what you're telling me? That's either a yes or a no.
No, Your
Is
Honor.
what you're telling me that you adopted a dog knowing that it had to be muzzled?
Can I explain, Your Honor?
Sure.
When I adopted this dog, they told me he didn't do well in a setting of family with 5 kids
Don't
and 3
tell me
dogs.
what they said. I want to know if you were aware of the fact...
I was not aware of that, Your Honor, when I adopted the dog.
Okay. Now, you adopted the dog when?
About 2.5 years ago.
I would like you to tell me under what circumstances you found out that the dog required a muzzle when out.
I just decided to put a muzzle on him because...
No, that's ridiculous. Don't
Yes.
give me that baloney.
No.
That's baloney.
I decided to keep him on a muzzle because I don't want anybody petting my dog.
That's baloney.
But that's the truth, Your Honor.
No, that's baloney. I'm 76 years old, and I've had probably put a muzzle on my dog just in case.
Your Honor,
because that's stupid.
I have insurance background. I've seen a lot of claims, and due to that and stories...
Ms. Homsey, that is so ridiculous. Are you telling me that your dog was ordered to be muzzled? You didn't know that when you adopted him, and
No,
then later you just so happened to think, well, it's a good idea that I muzzle my dog. I just want to know if that's what you're asking this face to believe.
That's the truth, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's baloney. That's baloney, Ms.
Your
Homsey.
Honor,
it's the truth.
I didn't ask anything, now I'm reading.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
That's baloney. Were you also bitten?
I was
Or
not.
is this the prior?
That's
this
the
is
report
prior. This
from
is
when
March
her-
23rd, 2017.
Right.
Oh, this is the prior incident.
Correct.
I see this was a prior incident, but it was a prior incident while you still own the dog.
Because the dog doesn't have that character, Your Honor.
Hey. I thought you told me that your dog had a prior incident before you adopted her. Well, this incident is dated March 23rd, 2017. I asked you when you adopted the dog. You said 2.5 years ago.
Exactly. I don't know about this incident. I haven't seen this paperwork. May I see it, please?
So
Sure.
there's another attack?
Sure you can.
Oh, okay. I remember this now. Yeah.
I'm glad you remember. Can I have it back, please?
Yeah.
Can I have
this
it back?
was a lady that assaulted my mom when my mom had the
Don't tell
dog.
me about a lady assaulted your mom. I asked you whether the dog had bitten before. You said the dog bit before, but before I adopted her. And then I just decided to put a muzzle on him because I just thought I used to be in insurance, and I thought it would be a good idea to put a muzzle on the dog. This happened after you adopted him. All right. Very good. You're going to pay all of her bills, and your counterclaim's going to be dismissed
She
for
harassed me,
harassment.
came to my house.
I don't care.
Twice. She
I
came to
don't
my house,
care
Your Honor.
whether she
But
came to your
that's not
house.
right.
I don't care.
Her dog bit my dog first.
I don't
and then
care.
He
Listen
defended
to me.
it.
Listen to me. I don't care whether she came to your house to ask for money.
And
Other than the
harassed
fact
me, throwing rocks
are
on
you
my-
interrupting me?
No, ma'am.
So far, you lied to me at least twice. You lied to me that the dog had no history once you adopted it. That was clearly a lie, because the dog has bitten before. You lied to me when you said, well, I had no knowledge of that when I adopted the dog. I just decided to put a muzzle on my dog because, well, I'm in insurance, and just because, for no reason. All those things were not truthful. And if you choose to have a dog that bites, you have to pay for it. Judgment for
Honor.
Thank
She
you,
came
Your Honor.
harassing me.
Counterclaims dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Totally traumatic. I thought that my dog had been killed and that her dog was about to start tearing her apart in front of my 3-year-old's eyes.
I hope that this will never happen to another person.
If you've ever been involved in a dog attack, it's the most powerless feeling.
And that she will cage her animal because he's little.
I just didn't feel like there was anything I could do.
And she needs to protect. She's the mama.
I am beyond thrilled. Justice has happened here today.
I'm just glad that all the dogs are okay.
I'm glad everybody's okay, and thank you to Judge Judy.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Moore versus Rooks. Step forward.
Michael Moore is suing former friend Randy Rooks for vet bills, medical bills, and lost wages after her pit bull attacked his dog.
Mr. Moore, it is your claim that the defendant's dog bit you and your dog, causing injury to both.
Yes,
You want
ma'am.
her to be responsible for your bills, for the dog's bills. And the defendant says that if you were bitten, it was your fault. If your dog was injured, it was also your fault. She's got a counterclaim. She says you've been harassing her and slandering her.
That's false, Your
So
Honor.
what I gather is that this incident occurred at the home of a mutual friend.
This incident actually happened on the morning of May 20th, 2018. I arrived on the property May 19th.
You were staying over at a friend's home?
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a party?
There was a birthday party that weekend.
For whom?
One of the defendant's children.
Miss Rook's children.
That's what I believe, yes.
Miss Rooks, what was the celebration for?
Actually, my son's birthday party was prior to that. It
Okay,
wasn't
I'm
actually
just
that
asking you a question. It's not very germane to this case. It's not a big deal. What were you celebrating at this mutual friend's house?
We were celebrating them moving into their new home and helping them remodel and clean.
Okay,
And
so they were moving into a new place. And you brought with you how many children?
3 children, Your Honor.
How old?
13, 10, and 7.
You would be the last one that I would invite to my house if I were moving into a new place to bring the chaos of 3 children and a dog. The last one. Don't understand that. And what kind of a dog do you have?
She is a pit bull.
How old?
She is 5.
When did you get her?
When she was about 7 weeks old.
And what kind of a dog do you have?
She is a half healer, half Louisiana Catahoula. It's a swamp hunting dog.
I know what they are, actually. How old?
She just turned 10, Your Honor.
Now, these are 2 dogs that shouldn't be in the same house together. You do understand that?
Correct.
You understand your dog shouldn't be in the house together, so why didn't one or both of you just leave?
We had drove 2.5 hours to get there. It was quite a ways
but you're
away from our
there,
town.
and you know his dog, you know about your dog, and sense is if you're helping people move in to a house and you have 2 dogs that clearly are like the Hatfields and the McCoys, then you don't spend a weekend there. It's ridiculous. Never heard of 2 more
Your Honor,
people in my life. All right, let's go.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your dog was 30 feet out of your control. If you thought 30 feet was a good lead, good for you. Evidently, it was too much of a lead because your dog injured him and injured his dog.
But, Your Honor, if a dog's on a lead, you're not supposed to go in that area.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Michael Moore says his dog was viciously attacked by a pit bull owned by former friend Randy Rooks. Randy is countersuing for slander, lost wages, and harassment.
So you have 3 children and a pit bull, and your 3 children and a pit bull was staying where? In the house or outside the house?
We were, if you'd like, I could show you on the
Just tell me, were you staying in the house or outside the house?
In the art studio.
And where were you staying, sir?
I was staying in...
I want you to tell me what happened.
On the morning of May 20th, 2018, approximately 10 o'clock in the morning, I awoke from my tent with my dog.
You got up at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I smelled breakfast.
You mean the person who was moving into the house and you were there to help was now cooking breakfast?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go.
Slow. May I address the chart?
Absolutely.
So, when we got out of our tent, we started walking up towards the house, and we had passed by a large tree. And when we passed by that tree, her pit bull lashed out and attacked my dog. And at that point in time, the next 5 minutes was a horror show of her dog thrashing around my dog by the neck.
At the time, Miss Rooks, that this incident happened, were you in the art studio with your children?
No, I had helped, just gotten done finishing breakfast and walked upstairs to get dressed.
So you were in the main house?
We were actually outside cooking. We were camp cooking because our kitchen was being remodeled.
Go over and show me where you were cooking.
There's a porch right here. Excuse me. There's a porch right here, and we had a barbecue and a grill set up, and we were outside cooking. So we were all hanging out in this area, and my dog was right here, and obviously Mike was still sleeping when I went upstairs. So, and then I obviously was upstairs.
Is your dog chained to a tree?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what it... On how long a chain?
It was about 30 feet. It was a good lead. And there was also 2 entrances to the house. In fact,
I don't care
3.
whether there were 20 entrances to the house.
Okay.
Your dog was 30 feet out of your control. If you thought 30 feet was a good lead, good for you. Evidently, it was too much of a lead because your dog injured him and injured his dog.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My counterclaim is about them Michael Moore showing up at a massage event that I had, and they showed up prior to me showing up and came inside and were asking the coffee barista when I was going to be there.
So what do you think he came to this job site to do?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Michael Moore says his dog was viciously attacked by a pit bull owned by former friend Randy Rooks. Randy is countersuing for slander, lost wages, and harassment.
If you thought 30 feet was a good lead, good for you. Evidently, it was too much of a lead because your dog injured him and injured his dog.
But, Your Honor, if a dog's on a lead, you're not supposed to go in that area. She was on a lead
Miss
because they
Rooks,
didn't get along.
Miss-
I was doing
Miss-
everything in my power to make sure my dog was safe.
Then you keep the dog on a leash with you cooking. You don't put your pit bull on a 30-foot lead around a whole bunch of people, and if trouble happens, you're responsible. If it's all good, terrific. Listen, you choose to get that breed of dog, madam.
May
I see
was
your vet
given
bills,
that
please?
dog.
May I see your vet bills, please?
Yes.
When did you present her with the vet bills?
The vet bills were actually presented by the property owner, which they paid, and I have since then paid them back.
They were paid by which property owner?
The property owner of that property.
So they paid all your bills?
They paid the vet bill only, and I paid them back in cash and labor.
I don't, forget that. If they paid the vet bill, I'm not paying you. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Sun Valley Animal Center was paid, and this is on the 20th. This is your patient history, Mike Moore. I don't see a bill for your medical treatment.
My medical treatment's right here, Your Honor.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Moore?
I'm a professional landscaper.
Do you work for your own company, or you work for someone else?
I work for someone else.
Full-time or part-time?
Full-time.
They give you medical insurance?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have medical insurance to cover your medical bills?
Yes.
So you have no vet bills and you have no medical bills?
The insurance has been taken out. What my medical bills are there or what I still owe out of pocket.
Were you in the hospital overnight, sir?
No, just for the afternoon. I did. It was just an afternoon in and out procedure.
Got it. You got 30 seconds to tell me about your counterclaim.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You got 30 seconds to tell me about your counterclaim.
My counterclaim is about them Michael Moore showing up at a massage event that I had going on at North End Nursery that they found out about via Facebook, even though I had blocked him. And they showed up prior to me showing up and came inside and were asking the coffee barista when I was going to be there. And she called me and asked me and told me that
Don't tell me what she called and asked you. That's hearsay.
There was two gentlemen waiting there for me. And when I got there, I had passed by originally to go up to my office to grab my face cradle and my lotion. And I had seen the two gentlemen.
Date?
That was June 10th.
So what do you think he came to this job site to do?
They came to ask me to pay them back.
Okay. So they came and you said...
Well, I had already stopped talking to them because they've been reaching out to me, asking me to put my dog down and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I stopped talking to them.
I want to know what effort, because you were actually there and you saw that he was injured and you saw his dog was severely injured. What did you do to reach out to him to say to him, listen, whatever, I'm really sorry that this happened? Did you do anything? Or you just did nothing and waited for him to come to you?
I didn't just do nothing. I was definitely proactive about talking to them and asking him how he was. But what I'm getting at is how I was asked to pay back the portion of his medical bills is Eric was going to add it on to my business.
I don't care what he was going to do.
Contract.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
A bicycle's unfortunate meeting with an SUV.
She ran into me, which took my front tire under her car and slammed me to the side.
Next Judge Judy.
You don't stick your hand into a dog fight.
I ended up injured.
You know, and if my dog was on a chain, then I should not have been liable for what happened.
It was traumatic, but
Don't walk by a dog that you know doesn't get along with your dog.
I was trying to get a hold and put a chokehold on the dog.
Especially when it's on a chain.
Trying to get it to stop breathing.
And don't stick your hand in a dog fight.
Karma comes back around. I felt it was a just decision.
Yeah, that's some serious damage to her car.
So I pulled across the pedestrian crosswalk, and he hit me.
No, Your Honor, she hit me. She ran into me, which took my front tire under her car and slammed me to the side.
When I see a red light, I stop.
And I did.
And then you went.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Motorist Keela Crawford is suing bicyclist Chad Weinbarger for running into her car at a stoplight.
Order. All rise. It's case number 302 on the calendar, the matter of Crawford versus Weinbarger.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Okay, Miss Crawford, you were driving.
Yes, I was.
And Mr. Weinbarger, you were riding your bicycle.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there was a collision.
Yes, Your Honor.
And each of you claimed that it was the fault of the other.
Yes.
In what jurisdiction do you live?
Boise, Idaho, Ada County.
Have you been riding a bike for a long time, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're familiar with the rules of riding a bike?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
When you ride your bike, are you supposed to be going with the flow of traffic or against it?
With the flow of traffic, if there's a...
We're supposed to go with the flow of traffic. And you realize, sir, that you are not a pedestrian on a bicycle.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're like a vehicle. Bearing that in mind, we're going to start with the date of this incident and the time. Ms. Crawford?
The date was August 19th. I was driving home from running an errand.
What time?
5:30 in the afternoon. I take
So
care...
it was light out?
It was light out. Rush hour traffic was just starting.
Would you...
You want me to come over here?
Yes.
Okay. I was on my way home. Now, this is new. The stoplight's new. This used to just be a merge lane only.
Were there lights there?
This day.
On this day, there were lights there?
Yes.
Okay.
Freshly painted stop line, freshly painted crosswalks, new lights. So I stopped and looked right and saw nothing coming. I went to look left, but the traffic is up here, and so I pulled across the pedestrian crosswalk to look left to see if I could continue to go, and he hit me while I was in the pedestrian crosswalk. I wasn't really moving.
Okay, so there was a stop light.
They put stoplights in probably a few days before this happened.
Red light? Or...
No, it was a full red light. So I stopped at the stop line that's newly painted there. And then after I looked right, I tried to look left, couldn't see left.
Second. But if there's a red, you can step back. If you have a red light, why are you moving at all?
I'm under the impression that after you make a full stop on a red light, that you can go ahead and make a right-hand turn if it's safe. And this, like I said, had been a merge with no lights for years and years.
Just a second. Well, I don't know what your jurisdiction. First of all, that's not a right turn. That's a merged lane.
Well, it's a right-hand turn from Overland.
It's a lean right.
Okay, you can't turn right on the straight areas.
That.
Okay, so I was in the right-hand thing. But it used to not have a light.
But it did have a light. It shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Right.
I used to have a 24 waist. Now it's a 37.
Right. I'm
sorry I don't have a 24 waist anymore, but now it's got a red light. So it has a red light, and you're supposed to stop at a red light.
Okay. I noticed the red light because it was brand new.
Good. If you notice it, then you stop.
I did.
Okay, but you didn't stop. You went into the crosswalk.
No, I stopped at the white line and looked right.
Then, just a second, you stopped at the white line, and then you continued despite to go
forward into the pedestrian crosswalk.
I don't know whose fault this is, but I'm just telling you. Some states allow you to make a right turn on red. Some states allow you if... That's like a merged lane, because it's certainly not a right turn. But some states allow you to go. Some states say if once you stop, look both ways, you can go. But as far as I'm concerned, if I don't know and I'm in a strange place, when I see a red light, I stop until it turns green.
I stopped.
But then you went.
Well, I was going to go ahead and see if I could make the right-hand turn, and I looked...
I say that to you.
You can make a right-hand turn at a red light.
There's no right-hand turn there.
Ma'am.
Ma'am.
That is a right-hand turn.
No, it isn't. No, a right-hand turn is when you stop at a light and you can make a right turn on red, which is you stop, you look at the traffic coming from the other direction, and you make a right turn. Right turn.
Okay, well,
this isn't a turn.
Okay, at this intersection, you cannot make a right-hand turn like that. That is...
And then I would just stay still at the red light until the red light turns green. That's what I would do. I'm just telling you. I don't know whether he did the right thing or not. But what I'm telling you is, if you have a red light, you're supposed to stop.
And I did.
And then you went.
I checked, and I checked left.
Now, since I'm not getting anywhere with her, now, I want you to go over there and show me where you were coming from.
Yes, Your Honor. I was proceeding...
So you were going the wrong way.
I was on the sidewalk, Your Honor.
Just a second. You were going the wrong way.
Yes, Your Honor, on the sidewalk. And when I came up to, there's actually a white line right here, which is where she's supposed to stop. And she said that she was there and then
Don't tell me
proceeded
what
forward.
she was doing. Tell me,
You're-
concentrate. So far, you're coming from the wrong direction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And the crosswalk signal was the white walking man for that
For
shows you-
pedestrians.
for pedestrians.
For pedestrians.
Yes, Your
Which
Honor.
you were not.
No, Your Honor. And I proceeded across. She was looking over her left
Just
shoulder
a
the
second.
whole time.
Did you get off your bike to cross?
I did not. I was trying to make it across quicker, just staying on my bike.
Well, if you wanted to be a pedestrian and be treated as a pedestrian, which means she would have to stop you, you'd have to get off your bike and be a pedestrian.
You're right, Your Honor. It's just the way I've been riding my bike for a while, and the chance of
So-
people getting off their bike just across the intersection, it's rare because it's quicker to get out of the traffic just staying
You
on.
didn't have any traffic. You were on the sidewalk.
No, I meant to stay on my bike.
You hit the side of her car?
No,
Well, she's going to show me pictures.
I have pictures
No.
as well that she
I'm
ran
good.
over my bike.
Well, that's okay. Did you hit the side of her car is my question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Which side?
The right front fender.
And your bike was damaged.
Yes, Your Honor. She ran over my front tire
Yeah.
and slammed me into the side of her vehicle.
Okay. And can I see a picture of the damage to your car?
Yes, you may, Your Honor.
Yeah. That's some serious damage to her car. Okay. Now, I really interrupted you, Mr. Weinberger, and I shouldn't have, actually, because you said when you were crossing the street on your bike, you saw her looking over her left shoulder.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what you said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, from that diagram, if she was looking over her left shoulder, she was looking to see if there was traffic coming from the other way so she could merge in. All right, she wasn't doing the right thing. She hadn't stopped at the red light. But if you saw her looking at her red shoulder, what did you go for?
I made the mistake of going thinking that before she would proceed anywhere, that she would look both directions.
Okay, so in that split second, you see a person who's driving a very large, a very big SUV, and you see her looking in an opposite direction from the way you're traveling on your bicycle. And you want to get across fast. And you are supposing in that split second that she is going to look back to see you and then stop. This is all processing because clearly you hit her.
No, Your Honor, she hit me.
No, you hit her. She couldn't have hit you sideways, sir.
Your Honor,
You
I
hit
have
her
pictures
car.
that prove that she hit me.
No, you can't prove that she hit you, sir, because she has damage to the side of her car.
Exactly,
It's
Your
impossible.
Honor. No, what happened was she ran into me, which took my front tire under her car and slammed me to the side.
Mr. Weinberger, that's what you say happened. I'm a very simplistic person. I can be wrong, and I have been wrong. There have been instances where I've been wrong. I can't remember them right now, but I'm sure that there were instances where I was wrong. It's very hard for a car to hit anything and have damage to a side panel of the car. When a car hits something, if the car hit you, it would have damage to its front end.
We did not meet like that at the intersection. She was very close to it. When I crossed, all I did was get to maybe the front portion, the front corner of her vehicle, and then she proceeded forward. And then she ran over my front tire, and I screamed and yelled at her and told
So I'm
her.
apportioning the damage, because, sir, I'm not buying what you're telling me. It's impossible for a car to skid in and have side damage. What happened was you anticipated she would look and stop. She didn't, and you were going too fast on your bike.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's also supposed to stop at a red light.
I stopped.
No, I don't want you to say I stopped.
You stopped at the right
and then
line.
you went.
Well, and then I pulled into the pedestrian.
Pulling is moving.
And later today,
If you brought in the 2 bins after your cats, use it as a litter box, and you want me to look in there and say, well, those clothes were probably smelly to begin with, which is why it attracted my cats.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Motorist Keela Crawford says bicyclist Chad Weinbarger ran into her car at a stoplight. Chad is countersuing for his damages and lost wages.
Now, what you should have done was get off your bike if you wanted to use the pedestrian crosswalk. That's what it's called, a pedestrian crosswalk. That means you're on your peds, your feet, not your wheels. That's what you're supposed to do. You didn't do it. She's also supposed to stop at a intersection, but...
I stopped.
No, I don't want you to say I stopped.
You stopped at the right
and then
line.
you went...
Well, and then I pulled into the pedestrian...
Pulling is moving.
Okay,
Pulling is moving.
To
Do me a
check
favor,
the
don't be
traffic
stupid.
left. I was checking the traffic left.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
why
You're
I
going
was
to pay for
pulled
half of
forward.
your own damage. Can I see your bill, please?
Okay. Bill right there.
If you're riding a bike, sir, bikes can be as dangerous as cars. Your bill is $1,685.
Your Honor, may I say something?
You could say something in 30 seconds.
All I want to ask is, how is it that I hit her when she was parked on my front tire? My front tire cannot be under her vehicle.
Yes, it can.
If
Oh, yeah.
I was the one that hit her, she was moving for my tire to be under it.
Sir, I'm a very simple girl. I told you that before.
I understand,
It's
Your Honor.
impossible for a car to be damaged on the side if it hits somebody with the front of their car.
That's
impossible.
It was the
impossible.
front of my
The damage
tire.
on this car did not
She
happen
didn't
as a
hit
result
me.
of her
She hit
hitting
my
you.
tire.
$842 judgment for the plaintiff. You count the claims dismissed. We're done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She proceeded forward and hit me.
There's no way I could hit him.
I've had to have x-rays. I was off work because of the damage.
My vehicle was not moving. I was in the crosswalk, but I was stopped with my foot on the brake.
People aren't as...
The next case.
All parties in the matter of Guernsey versus Heil. Step forward.
Joan Guernsey is suing boutique owner Rona Heil for the value of damaged dog clothes and children's clothes.
Miss Heil, I'm going to start with you. You had a consignment business.
Correct.
And consignment works, usually people bring in something and they're given a general idea of what it's worth, and you work out a percentage that you get to keep from the sale of the product.
That's correct.
And when you take possession of that property, it becomes your responsibility to safeguard it.
To a certain extent.
No, to every extent. It becomes your responsibility to safeguard it. Miss Guernsey had a whole bunch of dog clothes that she made.
That's right.
It was part of a business that didn't work out, whatever it was, but she had 1 or 2 boxes. How many?
2 bins.
And she brought them into you to sell. So you accepted her merchandise on consignment with the idea of selling it. On what date did you accept her property on consignment?
I accepted on consignment on July 5th. However, I was clear about the fact that it is still her property that was in the contract.
I don't care what you're clear about. It is, of course, it's her property, but you accepted it responsible. You're not responsible if there was an act of God and the building was taken by an earthquake, flood. It would not be your responsibility. But you're responsible for ordinary care and reasonable care with regard to someone else's property that you have accepted into your custody. I'm telling you that that's what the law is. You're not responsible for natural disaster, but you are, in fact, responsible if your cats use her 2 bins as a litter box. That's your responsibility.
It's
which
not
is
my
what happened.
responsibility if the clothes were misrepresented.
Just a second. Well, you can't tell if the clothes were misrepresented because you accepted them, and it's your business, so that it's your responsibility to look through the 2 bins and say, you know what? This isn't really what you say it is. It's not new, it's not clean, whatever you were accepting on consignment. You accepted it, and then your cats used it as a litter box. Your defense is your cats used it as a litter box because the clothes were dirty or smelly to begin with, which, put your hand down, which attracted the cats.
That is correct.
Well, there's no way to know that, madam, because now the cat's urine is all over the clothes and it stinks from cat urine. It's your responsibility to look at it and say, I don't want this sweater because it has this defect or that defect. That's what people do who are in business.
I'm not a cat.
What kind of stupid remark is that?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Joan Guernsey is suing boutique owner Rona Heil for the value of damaged dog clothes and children's clothes.
Now, it's your responsibility when you're taking the property to look at it and say, I don't want this sweater, I don't want this blazer because it has this defect or that defect. That's what people do who are in business.
But I'm not a cat.
Excuse me?
I'm not a cat.
What kind of stupid remark is that? What kind of stupid remark? If you brought in the 2 bins after your cats, use it as a litter box, and you want me to look in there, you know, I have several degrees, and say, well, those clothes were probably smelly to begin with, which is why it attracted my cats. Now, I don't know anybody who's going to differentiate to me between smelly clothes and cat urine. So you're responsible for the clothes. Now, the issue is, how much are they worth? That's the issue. And you were consigning these things to her because you...
Honor, I consigned them to...
No, you was consigning them to her because you couldn't sell them. Because if she sold them, listen to me, if you could sell them, you get to keep all the profits. If you give it to somebody to sell on consignment, she's going to take a percentage.
That's right.
That's right.
Yes.
So if you could sell it on your own, you wouldn't give it to somebody else to sell it on consignment. You would sell it on your own, and then you'd keep all the profit.
I felt like I would have more exposure having them in her shop, and they were in pristine condition when I brought them in.
That's not what I'm saying to you.
No,
my problem is, how do you value what you left with her?
Actually, I marked them under what I valued them at.
Let's start with this.
Okay.
When she took possession of your property, were there prices on the property?
Yes, I made...
And what did they all add up to?
$1,064.25.
$1,064.25.
$1,964.25.
Okay. And what was her percentage?
30%.
Do you have all the items added up?
I do not have them. I returned that to
she does.
Joan.
I'll take a look at her list.
Would she like the photos, too?
I do not recognize that list, Your Honor.
What did she give you when she gave you all
a
of the
list
things?
that had items of the dog clothes, and it had prices next to it.
Okay, well, that's a list.
I don't know if that is the list. That doesn't look
Well,
like
if
the
you
list
had
that
yours,
I
you
saw.
could look at it. Do you have yours?
I do not. I
Well,
returned
that's
it
what
with her
you're
when
coming here
I...
today for.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Your Honor,
We're done.
it was $1,900.
Let me explain something to you. When you give something on you say it's $1,900. She doesn't have the list. And this is a list that you just made for today because you said she didn't return the list to you. So far, I'm correct. When you give something to consignment, you take $1,900, take off 30%. That's if you got a full amount for everything that you listed on here in a full amount, which is unreasonable because nobody gets exactly what they want in a consignment shop. So you're very fortunate. I'm giving you $1,000. Say thank you and goodbye.
May I
We're
ask
done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
The clothes as a litter box.
They had been the dog clothes of a dog, which is why they smelled like dog.
I should get the full price of what they were going to be sold for.
She had a sob story.
Some people don't have a moral code.
No good deed goes unpunished, right?
They were excellent tenants. Yes, they were.
Good feelings quickly melted away.
What happened was all the electricity got shut off in September. Nobody knew why.
I have 6 kids. We had 3 freezers worth of food that went bad.
And the reason gave them a jolt.
They did not get electric bills because your son had rigged the electric.
The month prior to him moving out. Yes, ma'am.
They should actually arrest him for theft of services.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Donna Moeller is suing her ex-tenants, Jessica Pitzer and her fiancé, Darren Day, for electric bills due to illegal wiring and unpaid rent.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 323 on the calendar in the matter of Moeller versus Pitzer Day. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Moeller, how long were the defendants tenants of yours?
They moved in November 2016.
And when did they move out?
They moved out in October 2018, so 2 years.
And what was their rent?
Their rent was $800 a month.
And with the exception of the last month, which may somehow be in dispute, they were regular in paying their rent.
They paid monthly. They were excellent tenants. Yes, they were.
Great. Did you have a written lease with them?
Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
I'm going to take a look at the written lease. Now, before they were tenants of yours, your son was living there.
That is correct.
And you evicted your son.
That is correct.
How long was your son living there?
He lived there roughly for about a year. I own the house, maybe 2 years, close to a year and a half to 2 years.
The gravamen of your complaint is that the defendants owe you for an electric bill.
Yes, ma'am.
An electric bill that you were presented with in what month and year?
The electric bill, I was just known about the electric bill September 11th, 2018.
Now, am I reading between the lines correctly that someone had rigged the electric?
Actually, yes, ma'am. Actually,
just a second. It's not that you're alleging that the defendants got electric bills every month that they didn't pay. Is that correct?
They did not get electric bill. That's correct.
And they did not get electric bills because your son had rigged...
Moving out. Yes, ma'am.
Whatever it was, your son rigged the electric.
That's correct.
So defendants paid their rent.
Correct.
Did not get any other bills. Or did they? Did you receive any bills?
No, ma'am.
What?
The lease specifically states that they are responsible for all utilities.
Just a second. When they get a bill, I don't care what it says. When they get a bill, they're responsible for the utilities. If you don't get a bill, what do you do? What do you send?
You call me.
What do you send? No, no, no. That's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to make sure that your property is in perfect condition when you turn it over to them, and a rigged electric is not in perfect condition. So if they paid their rent on time and they were great tenants, they're not supposed to call you. Gee whiz, I didn't get a water bill this month. I didn't get a water bill for 6 months. Did you get any utility bills?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No water, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
No water, no gas, nothing. So all you did was pay your rent.
Yes, ma'am.
They're not going to pay for unrigging your electric bill. Get your son to pay for it. They're not going to pay a $5,000 electric bill that they had no notice of. They had no notice of it.
I discussed it.
They had no notice.
Yes, they did. Yes, ma'am, they did.
In what month and year did they have notice?
When they moved in, they were responsible to turn all utilities in their name. Yes, ma'am.
Just a second. Does your lease say that? Is that what it says?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'd like to see the language of tenant review, tenant...
Page 2.
What is it?
Page 2.
Page 2. This doesn't say they're responsible for turning on utilities in their name. This says they're responsible for all utilities in relation to the property that they had notice of. Your son rigged this thing 3 years ago. Find your son and get him to pay the utility bill. I'm not sticking them with a $5,000 utility bill that they had no notice of during the course of their tenancy. Trash and garbage. How did you have trash and garbage?
We did have trash, that's right. We did have that utility, that bill.
Did they send you that bill?
Yes, they did, Your Honor.
And
in my name.
And did you pay that bill?
I did, ma'am.
And they had a call to get it set up.
Then they did. Then they called to get their trash set up.
Correct. Just like they had a call to get the electric set up.
Sorry, your son rigged the electric. Get your son to pay for it. They're not paying $5,000 electric bill that they had no notice of. It's not happening. Okay. They have a counterclaim.
I do.
I don't think you want to deal with the counterclaim. I don't think you want to deal with the counterclaim because what happened was all the electricity got shut off in September. Nobody knew why.
Yes.
Nobody knew why. And it turns out when they did an investigation, they found out that your son had jimmied the wires and had scammed the electric company. They should actually arrest him for theft of services, actually. Inconvenience, you had to go to a hotel for a few nights, but you didn't pay rent for that month.
It was a month.
You didn't pay rent?
For September, we did. The month we were out of our home, we did pay rent.
Did you stay there in October?
2 days in October, yes.
Okay.
And we were out all our food. I have 6 kids. We had 3 freezers worth of food that went bad.
They moved out October 21st.
I don't think that the plaintiff can find that I can't find on her behalf that you're responsible for electric, for this $5,000 bill that you had no notice of on a periodic basis. That's her responsibility, and if her son did the wrong thing, she's got to take responsibility for that, not you. But I wouldn't push it with a counterclaim. Do you understand? Because in actuality, if you think about it, let's say you got a nominal electric bill. You lived there 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's say you got a nominal electric bill for $100 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? That's $2,400. And that would be a nominal electric bill, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That you didn't pay.
Your Honor, I do have a lease here that says we are not responsible. And this is the most current lease.
Oh, I'd like to see it, just for...
It's highlighted.
To the plaintiff, I'm just curious. This was the last lease. It says that you're responsible for the electricity.
Ma'am, I also got the same lease, and I've never seen this one before. So I also got the same lease that was referred to by HUD, which started in...
All I'm asking you is that your signature on the lease? They're not paying the electric anyway, but I'm just curious because that says you're responsible.
That is not my signature.
Whose signature is it?
I have no clue. You could see what my signature looks like. That is not my signature.
Okay, I'd like to see it, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see
actually,
the paperback.
here's what I'm... This is what I look... Here, right here.
No,
This is
just
the
a
year
second.
before.
Bird, let me have the original back, please.
She did.
Oh, that's not her signature.
This is the year before. This is the year before lease is her signature.
I'd like to see it.
The one that's filed with HUD in the state of Ohio.
I did sign that one.
Well, that's the same. Whatever. I don't have to even be a sleuth. Then, your son's responsible for rigging the electric. They're not going to be held responsible for the electric. I'm just dealing with their counterclaim now.
Your Honor, I also have audio of her harassing. We would pay the entire electric and give her my 2019 tax return.
Well, I'd like to see what you think is harassment. Go ahead.
I mean, I told Jessica I'd rather her deal with this than me, really.
Why do you think I wanted to make this a budget accident in the first place?
That's why I just said Jessica can't be here right now. But I wanted to meet with you.
No, but the thing is, first thing in the morning, it's going to have to happen.
When?
Monday through Friday.
If we was at our house, we could just walk to
You know
your
what,
house.
then? I should not have even done this, and I could just, they don't have to turn it on. I need signatures.
I'm not going to do it right this second if Jessica's not here. So you're telling me she has to give you her...
She's agreed to this.
She never told me nothing.
Not to the income tax. Scott, listen to what I'm saying. Listen and calm down. Listen.
I am calm and I'm listening.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Don't tell me what I'm not. I'm calm. I'm listening. I can hear everything you're saying.
You are, then why aren't you getting it? It's simple.
Getting what? You're telling me Jessica's going to give you her income
Scott,
tax
that is
check.
not what I said.
Turn it off. That's not harassment. That's an argument. Your counterclaim's dismissed. So's your claim. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm really good with it.
We trusted her, and that was a mistake.
I hope they've learned a lesson from this.
Her son.
Be trusting people.
Be careful who you trust.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bean versus Pompey. Step forward.
Kevin Bean is suing his former business partner, Kyle Pompey, for his wages that were garnished due to unpaid rent on a business space.
Mr. Bean, this is, generally speaking, what your lawsuit is about. You and the defendant were in business together, some sort of photography business, and you leased a space for 12 months. And that was several years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
Business didn't work out. You parted company. And then sometime last year, according to you, you started to get demand letters from a lawyer for back rent on this very same place. And you did nothing with those letters. All of a sudden, your wages are attached. You get nothing else. A judgment has been entered against you. You get no notification of a trial. You get nothing. All of a sudden, the next thing you know, your wages are attached. Is that what you're telling me?
No, ma'am, that's not true at all.
All right. So when did you get notice that there was a pending judgment?
In August of 2016.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at it.
This is the demand letter that was sent to both me and Kyle. And that's just a record of when...
No, I just want to see...
Okay.
I see, District Court, this isn't a demand letter. This is from the... So what did you do with this?
When I got the notices, I immediately texted Kyle for him to take care of it. And he said...
Why don't you take care of it?
Because after 2 months, I was no longer a part of the studio.
It doesn't matter. There was a case against you. You seem like an intelligent person.
Oh, absolutely. I paid the balance in full.
No, that's not an intelligent person.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a problem with somebody who gets notice of a judgment almost 3 years ago, does nothing, and then this year starts a paper trail of asking him for the money back. It doesn't sit well with me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kevin Bean says former business partner Kyle Pompey caused his wages to be garnished when he stopped paying rent on a business space.
Okay, if you got this, you sent it to Kyle, and he says, well, I'll take care of it. I mean, I wouldn't let somebody else take care of it. You have to report. They tell you to come to court. If you don't come to court, there's going to be a judgment entered against you. So why didn't you go?
I honestly trusted his word that he would take care of it, and, you know, we were friends.
Well, he clearly wasn't a real friend. Prior to receiving this notice, when was the last time you saw him?
I saw him in the beginning.
In the last 6 months, when did you see him?
I haven't.
In the last year, where have you seen him?
I haven't.
In the last year, when have you spoken to him?
Through text message.
I'd like to see them. I don't have the dates on this.
There should be dates. I believe those text messages start in the spring of this year.
Spring of 18?
Yes, ma'am.
When did they start garnishing your check?
They started garnishing me in December of 2017.
Can you show me the text immediately when they started garnishing?
Right. I no longer had that those text messages because I lost that phone, and I no longer have that phone number. I pretty much lost everything as a result of this. So financially, it created a hardship, and it was a domino effect.
I hear the story. As soon as they started garnishing your wages, then what you do is you either move to open up a default judgment, you're an intelligent man, or you have some writing with him. I just don't buy this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with it. I have a problem with somebody who has a lease 5 years ago, gets notice of a judgment almost 3 years ago, does nothing but sit there and allegedly pay off the whole judgment themselves, and then this year starts a paper trail of asking him for the money back. I just don't get it. You weren't friends. You had said you hadn't seen him in a year.
I mean, when I first tried to recoup my money, you know, I texted him immediately. There was no period where I waited. I texted him immediately. He said that he would take care of it, and I trusted his word for it.
Well, he didn't take care of it. So, Mr. Bean, I really have a problem. And I have a problem because you look like an intelligent guy, you sound like an intelligent guy, and you want me to believe that you allowed them for 2 years to take out of your salary this amount of money that you didn't owe, and you have no proof of communications with somebody who you say was your friend and you trusted. I have a problem with that.
But I do. The text message that I showed you is conversations throughout the past year about recouping the money.
I don't care about this past year. They took the money out, not this past year, according to you. This is April 2016.
What's April 2016?
The notice of this District Court of Maryland case is April of 2016. That's almost 3 years ago.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You are responsible for this entire rent.
How?
How? Because you were there and he wasn't.
But his name was still on the lease.
I don't care whether his name is there. His behind wasn't there. Yours was.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Kevin Bean says pay caused his wages to be garnished when he stopped paying rent on a business space.
Okay. When did they start to garnish your wages?
December of 2017.
How much did they garnish?
I paid a total of $72.70.
Show
Here's
me.
my notice of satisfaction.
I want to see it coming out of your salary.
Okay. I have every paycheck.
I'd like to see it. Can I see the satisfaction of the debt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go.
Kevin Bean and myself, we were business partners for a magazine. I'm a photographer.
Got it. Okay, so that didn't work out.
He backed out of the lease to which we both signed 2 months after we moved in. And, you know, he said that he couldn't afford his portion of the rent. I said, fine. I didn't think about him taking himself off of the lease, you know. I was just concerned about how I was going to pay the rest of this year off. So I stayed there for 4+ years, And then I started having trouble with my landlord.
So you stay there and pay?
Yes.
You never signed another lease?
No, I never had to. This is a slum. He's a slum. Like nothing was.
I'm trying to figure out, Mr.
Legit
Bean,
about.
I'm trying to figure out how you're liable for any of this money.
I agree.
No, I'm really trying to figure it out. If he stayed there for 4 years and you only signed a 12-month lease.
Well, here's the original lease.
I'd like to take a look at it. Oh, well, did you ever tell them that you were moving out and that you were terminating the lease?
No, ma'am.
Well, according to your lease, it says that you had to give them notice. Otherwise, if you were staying, that if they don't get notice, then the lease is continued for 1 year further term if the tenant stays. As far as the landlord knew, the tenant was staying. When did you stop paying rent?
3 months before I moved out, which was late 2016.
Well, then you are responsible for this entire rent.
How?
How? Because you were there and he wasn't.
But his name was still on the lease.
I don't care whether his name is there. His behind wasn't there. Yours was.
Judge Judy continues. Been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. You say he moved out 2 months into the lease. You continued and you stayed there for 4 years. You stopped paying rent in the 4th year. He wasn't there. If this rent had accrued in the 1st year after he moved out, I say, you know what? You both signed the lease. That's it. But you stayed and had benefit from the space. And as a matter of fact, you stayed another 2nd year and a 3rd year and a 4th year. By the 4th year, it was just you there. By the 2nd year, it was just you there. This is all your bill.
Factually, he was still on the lease.
Don't say it again.
Said.
Listen, I just explained it to you. I just went through 3 minutes, and I have a little bit of a cough, so it's irritating to me to do it once to somebody who doesn't look unintelligent. So if I say to you, your behind was there in year 4, his wasn't. You chose to extend the lease to make it a renewable lease by just staying and not giving any notice. Maybe you gave notice. Did you give notice that you were staying?
No.
No, so you just stayed and the landlord let you stay because you were paying rent. And then you stopped. You stopped paying rent, but your behind was still in the premises.
I stopped paying rent for a reason. I
Who
just didn't
cares?
stop.
If this was in 2016, that's 3 years ago. When did you first sign this lease?
I think 2011.
Oh, I see. So you were there until 2016, so now I understand it. I got it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. We're finished. Thank you.
Excuse you, step up.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think the decision was fair.
I feel like I was only responsible for half.
Very traumatic for me.
I wouldn't want anybody to go through what Kevin said he went through.
I lost my place, my car, fighting for custody for my kids.
I guess justice was served.
I'm just glad it's over.
He's a good guy.
Two college freshmen moved in,
You rented their house
Yes, ma'am.
for a year,
Yes, ma'am.
but they flunked as tenants.
We couldn't afford the bills anymore.
which is why they broke the lease. They destroyed your house. You know, that's pretty stupid. I wouldn't rent a garage to 2 college kids.
Now the judge takes aim.
Who had a BB gun?
Neither one of us.
Well, tell me how the house got riddled with BBs.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Their former tenants, 20-year-olds Anthony Bennett and Rico Ford, for breaking their lease and severely damaging their property.
Order. All rise. That's case number 348 on the calendar, the matter of Graber versus Bennett Ford. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Who's Bennett?
Me.
So you're Ford.
Yes.
What school were you going to?
Minnesota West.
What year were you both in?
It was our freshman year.
First semester?
Yes, my first semester.
And yours?
Yes, first semester, yes.
And that started in September
Yes, ma'am.
of 2017.
Yes.
You rented their house
Yes, ma'am.
for a year.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people signed the lease?
Me and him, and then I had a co-signer.
Who was your co-signatory on the lease?
My father.
Does he work?
Yes.
Why don't you sue him?
We are suing him.
When?
We're suing him. We were getting the process done, but we couldn't get a hold of anybody to sue him because after we fixed the whole damages they did it to totally destroy the property.
Just a second. I didn't ask you for a whole story. I said you have these two kids that probably flunked out of school, which is why they broke the lease, right? They destroyed your house. Dumb to rent to two college kids anyway, if you had a house that you liked. You know, that's pretty stupid. I wouldn't rent a garage to two college kids. But my question to you is, now you have these two. Did you flunk out of school?
No, ma'am.
Where did you go after you left their house?
We couldn't afford the bills anymore because...
No, not because. You couldn't afford the bills anymore. I don't know why. I don't care why. Where did you go is my question.
Well, I had a kid, so I had to relocate to go work instead.
Just a second. So the answer is you were no longer in school?
Yes, because, well, we ended school.
When did you end school?
School ended in May.
But you moved out before May.
No, we moved out May 30th.
Is that when they moved out?
Yep, they broke the lease 5 months.
Just answer my question. And you relocated where? From where to where?
Appleton, Wisconsin, where my father lives.
Are you living with your father?
Yes, ma'am.
With your kid?
He's not born yet.
And where is his mother?
I moved her in with me.
She moved in with you?
Yes.
And your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Brilliant. Brilliant. And what about you?
I moved back to my hometown, Detroit, Michigan, for the summer.
And then what are you doing?
I go back to school now in Worthington, Minnesota.
Did you get an apartment?
Subsidized housing.
Who are you living with?
I stay alone.
How much rent do you pay?
$75.
A month?
Yes.
Smarter than he is. Let's get back to why you're not suing. You can't sue either one of these two. They're useless. They can't collect any money from them. His father works. Why don't you sue his father?
We figured to go after them first, and if we didn't get nothing, we'd sue the father. That was going to be the plan B if we couldn't get nothing out of them. We're still going through the process of trying to get money out of these guys. Rico came back, and he paid partial.
Mr. Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
So he came back and tried to do the right thing?
Yes, he did, ma'am.
Perfect. Now you have to sue his father. His father. He didn't have any money. He's living with his father. So why do you have trouble finding his father?
We sent him text messages, but we don't get no response. So we were in the process.
You don't have to send them text messages. Serve them with a summons.
We were not his father. We were in the process of doing it with these two.
No, listen to me. I'm giving you some advice, sir. Free advice. He doesn't have any money. He lives in subsidized housing for $75. This one is finished with school, got a girl pregnant. They moved in with his father, so he doesn't have any money. What?
I work 7 days a week, and I'm building.
So you have enough money to pay this judgment?
I would if I owed, but I don't owe anything.
Really? When was your lease up?
We contacted them prior to moving out, and he said it was fine. Jamie.
Show me.
When we went to pay the last month's rent, we talked to him, and he said verbally that it was fine.
Do you have a written lease with them?
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot modify a written lease by an oral agreement.
I understand.
So you have a lease that went out further, and you left owing money. Not you. According to what I'm hearing, you try to do the right thing.
Yes.
Did you come back and live in the house?
No, I moved to that's when I now live in the subsidized housing.
How did he try to do the right thing?
We text both of them on what they owed. Rico lived in Detroit. When he came back to play, he played football for Minnesota West College. When he came back to start his college, he came back and paid us a portion of what he owed.
How much did he pay?
He paid $345.
Good. And
Anthony, we could not get a hold of him. He always texted us back until we told him what he owed, and then after that, we couldn't get a hold of him anymore. He never returned any texts or nothing.
Where does he live?
He lives in Wisconsin, Your Honor.
This is the text I sent back. It says, do you...
Mr. Ford, I want to ask you this question.
Yes.
When you came back and you were playing football, and you, I assume, had some money, did you work over the summer?
No.
How did you get $345?
My mother paid.
And when you paid them the $345, did they say you were even?
Yes.
They said you were even?
Yes.
Who said you were even?
Jamie.
And when was the last time you gave them money of that $345?
I believe it was August. I know it was the first beginning of August, so August 2nd through the 5th.
Have you heard from them since about you owing them any more money?
No.
Only this case?
Yes.
And you accepted $345 from them?
We did
from
accept that, Your Honor, but we didn't care who it was coming from. We said this is the amount both of you two owe.
I don't care what you said. Case is dismissed against you, Mr. Ford. You can leave. You can leave. Now, the only thing that I have to figure out is what you're going to do with Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bennett, if he wasn't working, I would dismiss the case and I would say to you, you've got to go sue his father. Which
Your
I think,
Honor,
what?
we have pictures of a BB gun being used in the house.
What does that have to do with what I just said? What does that have to do with what I just said?
Nothing, but it's deliberate.
But if you have somebody who has no money and you have his father that you accepted as a guarantor, that would seem to me to be the person that you would select to sue. Is the father has property, the father has a source of income that's steady. He doesn't have two people living there with an expectant baby. How old is this expectant mother?
19.
19. A 19-year-old expectant mother living with him, too, in addition to his son. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Bennett says he works 7 days a week. Now I'll take a look at the pictures of the house.
You want the before pictures and after pictures?
I do.
Your Honor? Okay, all the pictures. They're labeled in there. Yeah. Your Honor.
I want you to look at these pictures, Mr. Bennett. I just want you to tell me if these are pictures of the house that you rented. Make sure you tell me the truth, because I'm going to bring Mr. Ford back in here and ask him the same question. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Those are the pictures of the house before you moved in?
Yes, for the most part.
I'll take them back. Back in here, please. Mr. Ford.
Yes.
I want you to understand that the reason... Move away from him. A little bit over. I want you to understand something. The reason I've called you back in is not because I'm reversing my decision. The case is dismissed against you because you paid them a certain amount of money and they accepted it in satisfaction of what the debt was.
Yes.
With regard to you. But I have some questions now based upon some new evidence that I've seen.
Yes.
And it's very important for me, and I think that you're being truthful with me, and I want you to be truthful with me. You and Mr. Bennett signed the lease with a guarantor.
Yes.
How many other people stayed in the house regularly?
Just me and Bennett.
Anybody else stay there more than overnight?
No.
Who had a BB gun?
Neither one of us.
Well, tell me how the house got riddled with BBs.
I have no idea, Your Honor.
You have no idea?
No.
I'm looking at a house that was destroyed by BB gun.
Your Honor, the doors had lock problems. The windows wouldn't even close. They had locks that
There are
weren't.
new windows in the house.
Shh. I didn't ask you anything. I just showed a picture of what the house looked like before the two of you moved in. Before the two of you moved in. When you moved out, the house was a disaster. Now let's talk about this first. That look familiar?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Explain that to me.
I thought Anthony was going to clean it out.
And you?
There was no more room in the trash, and you can't fill it over, or else they won't accept the garbage.
Pigs do this, not people.
And later today,
When you moved in to Mr. Prue's apartment, you gave him nothing.
I gave him nothing, and I was
Okay.
going to pay him for the month of September.
And you were taken out and arrested before September.
Yes.
Perfect.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jamie and Heather Graber say former tenants Anthony Bennett and Rico Ford broke their lease and shot up the inside of their home with a BB gun.
Explain that to me.
I thought Anthony was going to clean it out.
And you?
There was no more room in the trash, and you can't fill it over, or else they won't accept the garbage. That's the rules of the city.
How much in advance did you know that you were moving out on May 30th?
I wasn't in town. I had to drive all the way back there, 7 hours, and I only had a couple days.
Pigs leave a house like this. I'm not talking about...
There was already boxes and food left in there before we came.
Pigs.
And the pictures...
Pigs leave a house like this. Pigs leave a house like this. Pigs. I have the pictures, the before pictures. I've seen the before pictures. You acknowledge that that's what it was. Pigs leave a house like this. What month did you rent the house?
We re-rented. It took 1 month, June 1st.
Just a second. Just answer my question. You re-rented the house to whom?
Natalie, can't think of her last name, ma'am.
She's a student?
Nope, she works.
No, she works at Mothauler.
And how much rent is she paying?
$700, Your Honor.
And what was your rent?
$700.
Did they have security with you? Security deposit?
Yes, ma'am, they did.
Did you keep the security deposit?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
You did. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That gives you $2,200 to clean up the mess. We're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess I'm happy with it. I mean, I feel that we deserved it.
We had some pretty excessive water bills and stuff that hindered us from being able to help out, and it kind of hurt us really bad.
There was so much damage, we didn't know where to start.
I didn't do any of the damages.
I don't see how they could even have a case saying there was no babies in there.
I don't know what could happen.
No more college kids.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kotick versus Prue.
His former roommate, Daniel Prue, for the return of rent and for the value of his personal property.
Mr. Kotick, how do you know the defendant?
I worked with Daniel at a Mountain View Seeds through a temp agency, and we became roommates.
Through a temp agency?
Yes.
He had an apartment?
Yes.
You did not?
I did not.
He lived in an apartment with his girlfriend?
Yes.
How long had you lived in the apartment with your girlfriend?
I was there with my girlfriend, well, my ex-girlfriend, and my other roommate, Mitchell, for probably 5 months.
What month did you move in, Mr. Kotick?
I moved in August.
And in what month were you arrested and taken out?
August 29th.
Same month?
Yes.
What day in August did you move in?
It was about the beginning of August.
How much rent did you pay him in August?
For August, I only paid
rent?
for September. They let me move in.
Just a second. Just answer my question.
Yeah.
You moved in the beginning of August. You move out the end of August when you were arrested. I asked you a question. How much money did you give Mr. Prue for rent for August? The answer is nothing. Say nothing.
The answer is nothing.
Nothing. So you were just living there, which is what he says in his answer to your complaint. When you moved in, where had you been living?
I was staying with my witness, Patrick Ryan.
Why did you leave there?
I was seeking to get into Portland
Well,
for a
when
better
you
job.
say you were staying with him, who was he?
Patrick Ryan is my witness, is my coworker.
So you were staying with one coworker and then you moved in with a different coworker.
Yes.
Did you pay your witness any money?
Yes.
How much?
$200.
For how long?
I was there for a few weeks.
From when to when?
The end of July towards the beginning of August.
And so for 2 weeks you gave him $100 a week.
Yes.
When you moved in to Mr. Prue's apartment, you gave him nothing.
I gave him nothing, and I was
gave-
going to pay him for the month of September.
You gave him nothing.
Yes.
And you were taken out and arrested before September.
Yes.
Perfect.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't have your property.
My belongings were all gone.
Not there.
Things outside were gone.
Not there.
My bicycle, I got it outside.
Not there. He doesn't have your property.
I don't think I have to owe him anything.
Yeah, I didn't ask anything.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Christian Kotick says his former roommate, Daniel Prue, owes for the return of rent he paid and for the value of his personal property.
Now, you were arrested on what date?
August 29th.
There was an altercation in the apartment.
Yes.
You were removed from the apartment, and there was a restraining order so that you could not go. The charges against you were dismissed.
Yes, Your Honor.
No plea.
No plea. No action was taken.
Dismissed. On what date were you released from jail?
It would have been August 30th.
Where did you go on August 30th?
I became homeless after that. I was on the street.
When were you evicted from the apartment?
It was supposed to be October 1st.
What do you mean? What does that mean? It's supposed to be October 1st.
It was October and November. They were
No, they're 2 different months.
on October 1st.
Were you out on October 1st?
I was out on November 1st. They gave me an extension for 1 month.
What property did Mr. Kotlik leave behind?
He left all his belongings, including clothes, equipment for music, probably paperwork that he needed.
When for the first time did he ask you for his property?
I had had my roommate message him through his phone because I didn't want his number on my phone, asking him, can he get his stuff?
When, for the first time, did he contact you to get his property?
He did not contact me.
When, for the first time, did you contact Mr. Prue to get your property?
October 6th, Your Honor.
Why?
After my court date, I contacted the district attorney's office to make sure I had a no contact order was lifted, and I contacted the
There was
police
no contact order in favor of whom?
in favor of Daniel.
Mr. Prue.
Property anymore.
No.
I believe it was sold or stolen.
I don't know. He doesn't live there anymore. He's not responsible for your property. Do you know where his property is?
I took it to Goodwill. I was moving, and I didn't want it in my person.
On what date did you take it to Goodwill?
Around September 22nd on that week.
He doesn't have your property.
Doesn't have my property.
No.
I returned to retrieve my belongings with my witness, Patrick Ryan, and my belongings were all gone.
Not there.
Things outside were gone. My
Not there.
my bicycle, how I got around
Not
town.
there.
Nothing.
Nothing. He doesn't have your property.
I don't think I have to owe him anything.
I didn't ask anything.
My apologies.
Yeah, I didn't ask anything.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Your property, your responsibility. You have a no-contact order. He doesn't have a no-contact order. He could have gone to get your property. You're not even a tenant there. You paid not a penny in rent. There's no reason why he couldn't have gone. He went with you to get your property. Isn't that what you told me?
You went
he
with
could
him
have
to
gone.
get my
Just a second. He could have gone there before to get your property.
I contacted the police and the sheriff to see if I could get a
No,
writ
no,
of
no.
assistance.
Don't tell me what the police and sheriff did. He could have gone to get your property. He's not paying for your property.
After I became homeless and I didn't be able to get into the Salvation Army, and then I found work for another company. I had to get back on my feet and stable, replace my clothes, my belongings, and the means to work clothes.
He's not paying for your property.
He's not paying.
No. Should have sent him for your property. Should have sent somebody else for your property if you felt that you couldn't get your property and if it was valuable. He has under no obligation to store, keep, maintain, or move with your stuff.
I believe I'm owed the return of my possessions.
Sorry. That's it.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I paid the defendant rent for September.
Got what I wanted.
We got into an argument. I was sleeping. His girlfriend had a problem with me.
He was on drugs.
Asked me to leave. I agreed to it, and they continued arguing, and they called the police on me.
He put his hands on my throat after arguing with my ex, and I tried to subdue him, take him to the ground.
I didn't have any conflict with his girlfriend on my end.
Couldn't have any good composure, any decency.
I'm not going to get any of my possessions back.
He didn't get what he wanted.
There's definitely no longer a friendship.
It's over now.
You can't work unless your car is functioning.
His broke employee had a breakdown.
I went in with him to pay in person at the transmission place.
Did you discuss how...
Now, is he on the road to unemployment?
Why would your boss pay for your car to be fixed?
Because he needed me as a technician.
Needing you, he didn't. Did you a favor, he did.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Greg Crenville is suing his former employee and family friend, 24-year-old Kenny Hull, for unpaid loans to have his transmission fixed and a down payment on a car.
Order. All rise. It's case number 328 on the calendar in the matter of Crenville versus Hull.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Crenville, you know the defendant, according to what I've read, for a very long time, since childhood.
More or less, since I moved into the state that he lived in when I was around 6 or 7 years old.
So you know him
known him since.
Since. Okay. Your lawsuit is for 2 unpaid loans that were related to his automobile.
Correct.
His defense is complicated by the fact that he also, at some point, started to work for you.
Correct.
As part of your team.
Correct.
Tell me what kind of work you do.
It's alarm installations, so I'm the manager of it, and he would be
Your Hull start to work for you.
So he actually worked the previous season for me in 2017. So I hired him on January of 2017.
So then he came back to work for you in the summer of 2018.
So yeah, you
Winter.
have an off season that he wouldn't have worked through the winter, and then again coming out the next season he would have worked in this season.
What month did he start in this season? In 18?
April 3rd.
April. And when did he have car trouble?
It was like 2 days after we had arrived. The official season didn't start until the second week. April 16th, I believe, is the official start date. We came out a couple weeks early just to kind of...
And this was in Oklahoma?
In Tulsa, Oklahoma, yeah.
Okay. Now, how much money did you make in 2017 working for him?
About $23,000.
And how much did you anticipate making in 2018?
More than that, at least $30,000.
Okay, so you had...
Can I interject real quick? He did not make that. I'm well aware of all of his year-to-date statements that he gets. It was somewhere closer to $43,000 that he made.
You mean in 2017?
Incorrect.
Okay, so he made certainly enough money to fix his own car.
I would have liked that, but he did not.
Okay. You had car trouble, and this is the second season that you were working. According to the plaintiff, and I somehow think that he is more accurate with how much you made in 2017 than you are, you had a very lucrative short time that you had to work. You can't work unless you... And what did you do?
My car broke down in April. The transmission had gave out just a few days into the summer. At that point, the car is the only thing to get around to get the job done. I was in a rust box. We had just started the summer. I didn't have money from the previous summer saved up. So at that point...
Why not?
Young, I don't know. Don't know how to learn how to budget, I guess. So at that point, I needed to get my car fixed, and he needed the work, and he needed a person to be getting the job done. So he decided to help me out.
Not he decided. That calls for the operation of his mind. He had to know that something was wrong with your car. Now, either he saw the car break down with no transmission, or you contacted him. Which one was it?
I contacted him.
How did you contact him?
We're actually staying in the same hotel.
So how did you contact him?
I just went over to his room and we had talked.
Okay, well, I'd like you to tell me about the conversation. What you said to him and what he said to you.
I needed a car, and he knew that he needed a person.
No, don't tell me knew. I said to him, the transmission is out on my car. Are you chewing gum?
Mm-hmm.
Get it out.
Thank you.
No, just take the tissue. Don't give him the gum. I went to his room and said...
The transmission is broke down. I need a new one, or a new vehicle.
And?
He decided to help me out with the transmission.
No. Decided calls for the operation of his mind. You can't tell me what was in his mind. You can tell me what you said to him and what he said to you. Try to follow what I'm saying to you. My car.
Mm-hmm. So I need another vehicle. I asked if he could help me, and...
No, look at me. I said, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
And he said...
We can work something out or because I need you as a technician. I need you.
And you said...
Okay. Yeah.
No, I want to know. I want to know how it came about. You had taken the car in for repair?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is a yes. And did they give you a cost to have it fixed?
Yes, it was just around $3,000.
Did you have that amount in your head when you went to see him to tell him? Did you know how much it was going to be?
No.
Okay, so you didn't have a figure with him.
Correct.
So after you spoke with him and he said, I can help you out, then you took the car in to be fixed?
He insisted me in getting a tow truck as well as getting a vehicle to get over there.
So he helped you getting a tow truck?
Mm-hmm.
Did you pick the repair shop?
Yes.
And who took the car to the repair shop? The tow truck and?
Me.
Now the car is fixed. What happened next?
We continued out throughout the summer.
No. Now the car is in there. How are they paid?
Greg was able to give them the money to get the car fixed. That way I can continue working for him.
La. Did he use a credit card, cash, wampum? What did he use?
I believe it was a credit card.
Did you use a credit card?
I did.
Did you call the credit card into the company, or did you give it to him to use?
Can I back up a little bit? So the car broke down.
I'm not there yet. I'll come back to you in a second.
Okay. I only went in with him to pay in person at the transmission place.
After the car was fixed?
After the car was fixed.
How much was it?
It's $2,966.45.
Now, did you discuss with Mr. Hull how he was going to pay you?
Yes, beforehand.
Yeah. Was that in your hotel room, or?
Yeah, so we were right next door in the hotel rooms, different rooms, obviously, and he came to me. This is over like a week and a half. The car broke down on April 4th, and so he took it into one place initially because they offered financing, because I initially told him I don't want anything to do with getting a car. We didn't know what was wrong with it. He just said it's not running. So I said, let's take it down to an auto shop, get a diagnosis. He says, well, I don't have money to tow it. So I said, okay, let's get a tow truck. He said, I don't have money. So I transferred him $100 so that he could pay for a tow truck, and then he took it in.
That?
It was the electronically transferred to an app. After I did that, he later told me they've diagnosed it. It's a transmission issue. It's going to cost this amount of money. And I said, okay. And they said they offer financing, but my credit's so bad, I don't know if they'll allow me, so we might have to work something out. I said, well, let's look at different options. Maybe it's best to just sell the car as is. Maybe you can get a rental car. And I have text messages of me telling this to him.
May I see that?
Yes. So this is on April 5th. This is me. Well, you can read through it, hopefully all of it.
Okay, this just says he's suggesting renting a car. All right.
Well,
What
I
else?
had given him money to get a rental car for the time being, so we did it just for 3 days initially, just so that he could be working, because as you stated earlier, it's a lucrative amount of money that you make in a short time, so every day he was missing, he was losing hundreds of dollars not working. So I was just trying to get him back into working
fine.
as quick as possible.
Fine.
And
do you have any text messages that have to do with the
so when
payment
we
of
met
this
in the hotel,
$29.66?
we met a couple of times about it in the hotel. We didn't know the exact amount of how it would be until later. They finally had quoted us, and it changed every time with the mechanics. First it needed this, and then it needed parts.
I don't care about it.
Originally,
it was $29.66.
So we had called it to be an even $3,000, and he was going to pay me $250 from his weekly paychecks every Friday.
Did he do that?
No.
Your Honor, we hadn't discussed that.
Just a second. Did he do that? Well, if he didn't do that.
He attempted to. He came to me the first week. We were moving into the apartments the next week, and so he came to me saying, we might have to start next week. We're moving to the apartments, and I've got to get groceries and different things for the apartment, you know, a rug, and I don't know, whatever. And so it was, you know, I need stuff for the apartment.
Just a second. So he never paid you back this $29.66?
No.
And then what happened with his car? And in what month?
So his car continued to have different months. His alignment went out in July, I believe. He had to get tires, something.
Did you give him money for that?
No. After a couple of weeks of him making up excuses and that I need to do this and I need groceries and gas and what have you, initially he came to me saying his family was going to be evicted from their house in Idaho, and I know them closely, and so I was like, you know what, I'm sick of doing this. It's always going to be next week. It's always going to be next week. Just pay me in your back-end check, because I'm not going to sit here and babysit you the whole summer. I've got bigger fish to fry. And so that's how it turned out to be. The agreement was he was just going to pay me from his back end.
Now, the back end check came when?
So there's 2 of them that come, but it's in, there's not like, it's kind of like Thanksgiving. It's just kind of like an area of time. So end of September, early October, and end of October, early November.
Did you get any money in October?
I did.
How much?
It was just around $3,000.
Did you get any money? How much?
So with my regional, I get to see the back ends.
If you don't know.
I know. I do this with 15 other technicians, so I'm just trying to remember his. It was $53.28 or something, and then $51.84 and 44 cents or something. But after the gross of it, I even saw that it was 41 something.
Does that sound familiar? How much were the 2 checks that you got?
The 2 checks? Combined or separate?
Why didn't you pay him back this money?
I didn't owe him. We had never discussed that. I mean.
Well, it's your car, right? Do you still have the car?
Yes.
It's not his car. Your job didn't provide you with a car, correct?
Correct.
You had to use your own car.
Yes.
Why would your boss pay for your car to be fixed?
Because he needed me as a technician to...
Why did he need you? How long have you been working for this company?
About 7 years.
How long have you been working for the company?
2.
So he got along without you. Got along without you before I met you. Going to get along without you now. So we got along without you really well for 5 years. And I guarantee you next year when you're not working for him, he's still going to get along without you. Needing you, he didn't. Did you a favor, he did, when he hired you. Right. So what you're telling me is you had some special skill when he hired you. Is that what you're telling me?
Not special skill.
No, just a second. Because I read the papers. He hired you in 2017, and he hired you to install alarms. Is that right?
Correct.
I want you to give me the name of the company or companies that you worked for prior to working on plaintiff's team installing alarms.
There isn't any.
Nobody. Who did you work for in 2016?
Nobody.
Nobody. Who did you live off of in 2016?
Parents.
Your parents. Who did you work for in 2015?
Heartland Pharmacy.
What did you do for them?
Delivery driver.
Nothing to do with alarms. So in the installation of alarms other than what the plaintiff taught you. So he didn't need you. He could have picked out anybody who drove a car and taught them how to install an alarm. So he didn't need you. But this $29.66 is not the only amount of money you invested in your old friend from the time you were 6 years old.
Unfortunately, no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What'd you send him $1,450 for, sir?
He helped me out in the past with the vehicle, and I wanted to return the favor and be nice. And like I said before, we never discussed any payback or whatever.
Useless.
That's a good word.
Useless.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Greg Crenbule says former employee and family friend Kenny Hull owes for loans to have his transmission fixed and a down payment on a car.
Now, when was the next time you made an investment in him?
It would have been September 27th.
Of this year?
Correct.
And the car died?
It was, according to him, in non-working condition. He had gotten home somehow, but it was...
Was his work session over with you?
As far as Oklahoma, yes. He was done with the season.
Any place?
He wanted to go back and work in Idaho so that he could continue to make money because he was always broke. So I was trying to figure out how to team him up, but fell through, and that manager was fired.
Tell me what happened in September.
So he had just gone home, had barely made it, according to him, and he wanted to continue working. And he said, hey, I'm so sick of this car. It's costing me so much money. I could have bought a brand new car for the price I put into it. And I should have said that I put into it. But he said, I'm car shopping I've got a friend who's going to get me a great deal on a car. I can reliably work for you, and, you know, we don't have to keep doing fixes. And I said, that's a good idea. I think it's a little early. I told him I want you to wait till you sell your car so that you don't have two cars. And so he said, well, I'm putting it on Craigslist right now, and I've got a couple of good looks at it. And so I plan on selling that car and using it for a down payment. Well, he asked me for the down payment, but he was going to pay down the amount because his credit's so bad that it was going to be a high interest rate.
How much did he ask you for?
He asked me for $3,000. I can't transfer that much, or the app doesn't allow you to transfer that much, as I found out, because after we went through all of our stuff of how he was going to pay me back, I tried to send
How did he say he was going to pay you back?
through his back end. And so knowing how much he made, he definitely had the capability of paying it back. It wasn't a question if he had the funds coming. I just don't know what he did with it. But as far as the money that I was able to give him was $2,700. I tried to give him the $3,000. It said error, you can't transfer that amount of money. So then I went back, said that, and then I sent another one right after of $200 to try and see up until the limit of how much it would let me transfer. And after that, it wouldn't let me do any more.
Did he pay you back any money?
He did.
How much did he pay you back?
$1,450, which I was not happy about.
When?
The exact date. So first week of October would have been October 3rd.
What'd you send him $1,450 for, sir?
He helped me out in the past with the vehicle, and I wanted to return the favor and be nice. And like I said before, we never discussed any payback, whatever.
Useless.
That's a good word.
Useless.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
The barter was to be paid back at $80 an hour, which includes gratuity.
Yes.
Well, how many massages did she give you?
30.
So
I don't have any money to pay it. I had to close my business, and I don't...
Get a job.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Greg Crenbule says former employee and family friend Kenny Hull owes for loans to have his transmission fixed and a down payment on a car.
What'd you send him $1,450 for, sir?
He helped me out in the past with the vehicle, and I wanted to return the favor and be nice. And like I said before, we never discussed any payback, whatever.
Useless. The amount of $42.16. We're finished. Thank you.
Do I not get any of my rental that I paid for him for my rental?
No. $42.16.
Parties are excused.
I'm very pleased. She's my hero. Love her.
I was one of the better technicians. I scored like second in, we had competitions throughout the whole company. I got second out of the company.
Oh, I bet he said that. I mean, he was great when he wasn't complaining, which was 1% of the time.
And he needed me because I get the job done. I'm quick and efficient.
But I have 15 other guys. I didn't need him by any means.
But as far as him taking me here is ridiculous, so.
I don't want to see him, talk to him.
He's no longer my friend.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hardy versus Denny. Step forward.
Richard Hardy is suing his former masseuse, Anita Denny, for an unpaid business loan.
Miss Denny, I'm going to start with you. You are a massage therapist, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And the plaintiff was a client of yours, as was his wife.
Only him.
Only him. You never massaged his wife.
Right.
When did he give you money to start your own business?
August is when I opened the doors in 2014.
And how much money did he give you?
$6,000 in total.
And he gave you this money without any interest?
Correct.
And you paid him back some of the money?
Some of it.
How much money did you pay him back?
About half.
How much money did she pay you back?
$2,512.
And how much did she give you?
$80.
In check or cash?
Cash.
She saw you in person?
No, her brother did.
What's your brother's name?
Richard.
Do you give Richard $80 to give to the plaintiff?
Yes, actually, I would put him in an envelope, and he would ride down the street because he lives down the street and would deliver it for me.
In January, Richard made the payment.
For me.
Okay, so you owe him $3,488. Why are we here?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you the victim of a scam? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
So you own $3,488. Why are we here?
Well, within the contract that we signed on the 4th, do you have a copy of that?
No, I don't have a copy of anything.
The 4th clause says
I'd like to see the contract.
The 4th clause says once borrower is stable, profitable, and sustainable.
May I see it, please? Well, the principal amount was $5,000, not $6,000.
There was an additional $1,000 that we did not write up a new contract.
I'm not taking that. I have a written contract for $5,000.
Okay.
Was it your agreement with her, Mr. Hardy, that some of this money was to be paid back in barter and some was to be paid back in cash?
Yes.
To be paid back at $80 an hour, which includes gratuity?
Yes.
Well, how many massages did she give you?
30.
Is that correct?
I don't have a number on it, but it does sound about right.
30 times. So it's $2,400 in massages. And how much cash did she actually give you?
$512 was cash. The rest was all massages.
And that includes the $80?
Yes.
So then we have a different figure. That altogether comes to $2,912. $2,088 is what's left on the $5,000 loan. So
I don't have any money to pay it. I had to close my business, and I don't have a job.
$2,088. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're done. Thank you.
Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
There was little misunderstanding with the contract.
Well, I think it was fair, considering everything.
Once I become stable, prosperous, and sustainable,
And she never became sustainable and profitable to any point.
is when I would be paying back.
If you look at the contract, it also said terms of 90 days on demand.
The fact that I closed my business and I'm not working right now, and
I was left with no choice.
it just crashed.
Because it wasn't going anywhere.
Well, lessons learned, right?
Just a lesson learned.
There was a computer glitch, and another couple was allowed to check into your room.
Blame goes to a hotel for a mix-up.
It was clearly their negligence in allowing somebody to come into your room.
Exactly.
Now, she says their mistake cost her big.
A whole bunch of stuff was missing. Cash, jewelry.
$1,200 bills.
If you had $1,200 bills in your room, they would have been in the safe.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Debbie Beresford is suing hotel owner Vimal Jariwala for money and property stolen from her room.
Order. All rise. It's case number 331 on the calendar in the matter of Beresford versus Jariwala. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Beresford, you and your husband were vacationing and staying at a hotel that you own or manage, sir.
I'm one of the managing partners.
Where is the hotel, Miss Beresford?
My fiance then, my husband now, it was 1 week he booked and paid for on the 14th of April on to the 21st of April.
And how much was it a night?
You got DVDs.
How much was it a night, sir?
First night it was $69 per night plus taxes and fees, and then after that, when she extended, we actually gave her a little bit of a discount.
To what?
$61 plus tax, I believe.
She extended it after April 21st.
Yes.
Is it a single room?
Yes, it's queen suite.
And is there a safe in the room?
Yes.
Okay, this is what your complaint is, Miss Beresford. You stayed there from April 14th to the 21st, then you extended your stay. Somehow there was a computer glitch in the hotel, and another couple was allowed to check into your room. What time did the other couple check into their room?
Your Honor, I'd like to call my witness, Carlton Johnson, the general manager is on duty.
Last name is Johnson?
That's correct.
What time did the other couple check into their room?
They checked in approximately 10 p.m. that evening.
And the Beresfords were out when
They were
checked?
out of the room, yes.
They were out just for the evening?
I'm assuming they were out for the evening.
Did a bellman take up their luggage, or did they take up their own luggage?
There are no bellmen present, so they were able to take their luggage.
So you just gave them the key?
The front desk agent did that.
And those people checked in on the 21st?
That's correct, Your Honor.
happened on the 21st. It happened when I extended my time from the 21st to the 28th.
Okay, what date did it happen?
I leave the hotel the evening of the 24th and return 4:30 the morning of the 25th.
Okay, so this happened on the 24th.
Yes.
And you were out for the evening.
Just for the evening.
And you did not anticipate that somebody else was going to be in your room.
No.
So everything that you had in the room you anticipated would be there when you got back.
Correct.
Now you were in the room for 10 days. And when I go to a hotel room, anything of value I put in the safe. That's what I do in every hotel room. Because this is what your case is about. You say that other people were in your room, and after they were replaced because the hotel realized they made a mistake, that was on the 25th.
That's correct.
You went through all your stuff and you realized a whole bunch of stuff was missing. Cash, jewelry, whole bunch of valuable things were missing. The defendant says he tried to be most gracious. You went through all of your things the day that it happened. The police were there.
They were called, I believe she called them at 2 in the afternoon to make the report. She did not do it at the time of...
That's not true. I have it on the phone here. The police was called on 4:55 a.m.
Okay. I'd like to see the written report that you made to the police.
This is the police report that lists everything that is missing.
I'd like to take a look at it. Let me go through this. The summary of the articles that you say was missing was a computer drive, which was worth $100, or $10.
Well, that's...
Ray-Ban sunglasses worth $40. Assorted cosmetics, $1. Assorted footwear, $1. Cash, $100.
$100 bill, $1,200 bills.
I don't believe you. If you had $1,200 bills in your room, they would have been in the safe. Don't believe you. A gold-colored diamond necklace worth $700, also in the safe.
Can I say something?
Yeah, show me where you took out $1,100 bills from a bank.
I don't live in America here. I came on a vacation. My fiancé, which lives in Texas, I came here to visit him. So I don't have a bank account here.
I don't care.
And no one is going to travel to a country without no money.
Just a second. I travel all over the world, madam.
But I don't have a credit card.
And I always carry cash with me. And I always put cash in a safe. Always. So I don't believe you. We're done. Now, the defendant that they made, how many days did they comp you for your room?
The answer said they
stand up, sir. How many days did they comp you for the room?
They never did.
How many days did they comp you for the room?
They did not communicate with us. She stayed there until the next day because she was so stressed out that she had to leave the hotel, come to my house. And I had a 16-year daughter who was upset about this relationship. So that's the reason why she stayed at this hotel in the first place.
What do you mean you had a 16-year-old daughter who was unhappy about your relationship with her?
Yes.
No, my daughter.
Your daughter was upset?
For that reason, yes. And then after this incident, I decided for her to come to my house.
Did you tell me in your answering papers that you comped her nights in the hotel?
We did, Your Honor.
What nights?
From the 24th to the 28th. She actually checked out on her due date.
Do you have paperwork? She checked out on the 28th?
Her last day was on the 28th. Do we have her folio for the 28th?
I don't believe I have that because she moved into it. We upgraded her room to a jacuzzi suite as well.
We moved her from the room she was in to a premium suite, a jacuzzi suite for the remainder of her stay.
So is what you're telling me that he's not being truthful with me when he said that after the incident she came back to his house?
That's correct, Your Honor.
I had an incident.
Your Honor, that's the truth. She was stressed out.
I got so sick, I did not stay one night because for my safety, it was the hotel negligence that somebody else could have checked into that room. Why would I want to stay one more night there?
Just a second. I agree with you. I might not have stayed either, but you did have 10 nights there that were unremarkable. And it was clearly their negligence in allowing somebody to come into your room. Clearly, their negligence. I can't tell whether or not they comped you for 4 nights that you checked out on the 28th. I can't tell you. The only one that maybe could tell me that doesn't know what's going on here is your 16-year-old daughter, who I'm not going to call, as to whether you brought her home for the last 4 nights. I'm not sure. I do know that she didn't have $1,200 just lying around her hotel room if she had a safe. That I know. Now you can sit down.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The manager said that he booked this other guest, number 2, the evening of the 21st. That did not happen. I
said to you, they were negligent in allowing somebody to go into your room.
That was on the 24th.
Whatever night it was, on the 21st or the 24th, whatever night it was, they were negligent in allowing somebody else to go into your room. And I understand that I don't believe that you had 12 $100 bills lying around the room that these people stole.
It was in an envelope with some original documents that I had with me.
In the safe.
Your Honor, may I expound?
What?
When I found out about what had happened, this mistake, the power outage, the clerk contacted me to let me know what the problem was. I told the clerk that I would be in bright and early the next morning at 6 a.m. while the guest is still physically present in the hotel, and I can have the plaintiff and the person that's actually in the room meet with each other right there. Anything that she may have forgotten, she didn't pick up the evening before.
Did you do that?
I did.
Okay, that was at what time did you get there?
I got there at 6. We met with the person in the room at 7 a.m. while they were still asleep in the room.
You went to the room with the plaintiff?
I did, and the clerk that made the error.
Was her luggage and things still in the room?
She had gotten it, I understand, on the initial meeting when they got back from their room from their evening out. Anything that she may have needed to recall or anything that she may have forgotten, I wanted to make sure that I had both parties there physically present. So anything that she may have forgotten, that she'd have an opportunity to pick it up.
Where was her property at 7 a.m.? Where was her luggage, her clothes, everything else?
I understand she had picked it up later on that when they got back from that evening. That morning, anything that she may have forgotten.
No. Where was it physically? Was it in the hotel?
It was in the hotel.
Yeah, in there, the room that doesn't work. So she has to come back and get a proper key because it got reprogrammed with the other guest. Once she gets the new key, she saw that the other guest
Did she come back alone or did she come back with her husband?
He wasn't physically there at the time. He didn't come onto the scene until later. I dealt with her one-on-one with the guest that was in the room.
Now, was she put in another room until 7 o'clock in the morning?
She was.
What room number was she put in?
116, premium.
And was her luggage moved out of the old room?
My understanding was it was.
But you don't know that?
I don't know.
Okay. Room 116. They have records of it. Do you remember going back to the room with Mr. Johnson at 7 o'clock in the morning and having a meeting with the other people who were in your room? Do you remember that? That's a yes or a no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
you moved in with relatives because you no longer had a job to pay for the rent. So
it was not because of paying the rent. It was just we left the premises because it was unsafe for us.
I read your nonsense. You paid your rent on time until you lost your job. Make it simple. Be honest.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Debbie Beresford says hotel owner Vimal Jariwala is responsible for money and belongings stolen from her room.
Now, do you remember 7 o'clock in the morning and having a meeting with the other people who were in your room? Do you remember that? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
And by that time, you had been in another room with your luggage, room 116.
Correct.
Right. And you had been there for at least an hour.
The clerk...
that question?
No, the clerk put my belongings in room 16. I came back...
116.
116. I came back out into the lobby and I sat there waiting for the police. I did not go into the room back.
So you're telling me that you did not go into the room to look at your luggage to see if your 12 $100 bills were there? Is that what you're telling me? That you went and sat in the lobby and didn't say the first thing that you said, gee, I have 12 $100 bills that are just lying around in an envelope. Let me see if they're there?
I think my safety, my life was more important.
I don't believe you. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The police said all they is interested is the larceny.
The items just continually grew each time we got a report from her.
There wasn't a break and enter into the hotel.
Either from the police or herself. So...
it was the hotel negligence.
At that point, we really didn't believe all the things that she said that she had missed.
I would never stay there again. I would never, ever recommend.
Using fair reason, I think the judge the story, and she made her decision based on that.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Nelson versus Gallegos Peña step forward.
Irina Nelson is suing her former tenants, 22-year-old Uriel Gallegos and his wife, 21-year-old Marisol Peña, for rent, late fees, and property damage.
Ms. Nelson, the defendants are your former tenants, and it is your claim that they owe you money for damage to the property that was beyond normal wear and tear, and in addition, for rent.
That's correct.
When did they sign a lease?
They signed a lease.
Are you here? Are you not here?
Yes, I'm here. I apologize.
Where are you?
I go sit here. Sorry.
Perfect. What month did and year did they sign?
June 3rd, 2017.
And when did they vacate the premises?
They left on, I would say...
When did you leave the premises?
September 5th, 2018.
So your year lease had expired. You were a month-to-month tenant.
Correct.
Did you pay rent in September?
We did not.
Okay, so you owe September's rent.
We believe we do not owe the rent because we did not live the full month there.
I don't care whether you lived the full month there. How are they supposed to rent it on December 6th? If you're there December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, you live there. You have to pay rent. How much was your rent?
$2,150.
Where are you living now?
A room.
For how much?
$800.
When did you move in there?
We've been living there 3 months now.
Since when?
Since September. That's where we moved in after we left the premises.
Are you working in the same place you were working last year?
I'm unemployed.
Who were you working for last year?
I was working for A to Z Automotive as a detailing.
How long did you work for them?
6 months.
And when did you separate from them?
I left, do you remember?
November 2018.
Why?
They terminated me. Work was low.
In November?
Yeah.
You were working for them in September?
No. When we left, I was not working for them.
Oh, the month before.
What month were you terminated from your job?
August. Sorry.
So you moved in with relatives because you no longer had a job.
We moved out because we left the premises here.
You no longer had a job to pay the rent, so
it was not because of paying the rent. It was just we left the premises because it was unsafe for us.
I read your nonsense. I read your nonsense answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Gallegos, I had toddlers. I also have 13 grandchildren. If one of my 13 grandchildren or one of my toddlers took a crayon to a home that I owned, it would be the last crayon that they took to a wall in their entire lives.
Real cases. Wheelton says. Former tenants Uriel Gallegos and his wife Marisol Pena moved without notice and left significant damage.
So you moved in with relatives because you no longer had a job.
We moved out because we left the premises here.
You no longer had a job to pay the rent, so
it was not because of paying the rent. It was just we left the premises because it was unsafe for us.
I read your nonsense answer. You lived there for a year. Now, all of a sudden, the puddle of water became a problem.
The puddle of water was constantly there. We had newborn. We're beginning parents. Bites, we were worried about our daughters.
You're not new parents. You have 2 children. You have a toddler and a newborn. So you're not brand new parents, okay? And the puddle of water, if it existed at all, was there. You paid your rent, $2,150. According to the plaintiff, she doesn't complain that you didn't pay rent. So you paid your rent on time until you lost your job. Make it simple. Be honest. You left one place to move into a place that you could afford, into a room. That's great. So the only thing that we have to figure out now is whether the damage to the property was more than just wear and tear. Did you let your toddler write on the walls?
She was a toddler. She got to the walls beforehand.
No. Mr. Gallegos, I had toddlers. I also have 13 grandchildren. If one of my 13 grandchildren or one of my toddlers took a crayon to a home that on a wall in their entire lives. Now, you may do that when it's somebody else's home and you're just a tenant. But I guarantee you, if you get a job and you and your wife save up money and you buy a little house and you paint the inside of the house and your child goes to take a crayon and write all over the walls, it will be the last thing she does that day if you own it. Can I see pictures of the walls? Miss Nelson, when did you rent the house again?
I actually...
No, just give me a month and a date.
Yes, October 15, 2018.
18,
yes, that's correct. The reason we couldn't rent it out on time because the damage was so extensive, so we needed an additional time to replace the carpet and paint it and get to rentable condition. So we lost half of the rent there, too.
Well, I see some trash. The trash that they left, this I don't consider terrible. How did the screen get broken?
We had a dog. And he chewed through it, but we left a $500 deposit for the dog as well.
Your Honor, it's non-refundable deposit.
I don't care if it's refundable. Did you fix the screen?
Yes, we did.
How much did it cost to fix the screen?
Well, we bought the supplies and we fixed it.
How much did it cost to fix the screen?
It was $111.63.
Fine. Pet deposit more than covered back. Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
How much did it cost to fix the screen?
It was $111.63.
Fine. Pet deposit more than covers that.
Yeah, but it was non-refundable deposit.
He's not asking for it back. Okay. I'm just telling you, you use it for whatever damage the pet did to the house.
Yes.
The pet did the damage to the house, $150, pay for it. They also had a security deposit.
Yes.
How much?
$21.50.
Did you keep the security deposit?
Yes.
Okay. $21.50 takes care of the rest of this stuff.
Yes.
Good. So all they owe you is the month of September rent.
And a late fee.
And what?
There was a $100 late fee.
What month did you rent the house? You rented the house a month later?
October 15, 2018. So we missed almost 2 weeks of rent. We couldn't rent it on time because of the extensive damage.
So you missed 2 weeks of rental?
That's correct.
Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,075. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused, man. Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It was normal wear and tear. We did not receive the house in tip-top 100% shape.
Well, there wasn't any very pristine condition.
We did the best we could, but we didn't purposely destroy the property.
Everything was painted, the carpet was new paint, everything was new.
We actually had water forming in the patio, so that attracted a lot of mosquitoes.
There wasn't any issues, they should let us know.
And our baby actually got bit in the arm. She was 7 months old, so that was definitely the concern that made us leave.
That's the first time I'm hearing about it, honestly.
Mentioned to them verbally at some point.
Well, I'm glad it's settled and it's over, and
We're just glad it's over with.
I'm just hoping they're gonna learn a lesson, never do it to anyone else like that.
I have a big heart, and Meredith is a good girl.
A boss offers to help make ends meet.
I didn't have the money for school clothes, and she said, let me take Meredith shopping.
And she did.
And it was said, don't worry about it. You're not paying for it.
Now, this struggling mom's in a deeper hole.
When, for the first time, did Miss Spaulding ask you for any money for them?
The day after she pretty much said, I no longer work for her.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Rebecca Spaulding is suing her former employee, Angela Richmond, for an
All rise. It's case number 333 on the calendar in the matter of Spaulding versus Richmond.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Spaulding, the defendant used to work for you. You own a pizza shop?
Yes.
And there came a point while she was in your employ that, according to you, you made an arrangement with her that you would take her daughter clothes shopping for school, and she would reimburse you for what you spent, because she said she didn't have money for school clothes for her daughter. You did that, and that's what your lawsuit is about.
Yes, ma'am.
For the money that you spent for her child for school. I assume that's you. Right? Ms. Richmond said that there was never an agreement to pay you back for the clothing. She would never have spent as much money as you spent. And she has a counterclaim because she said sometimes subsequent to that, you fired her. So her lawsuit is for wrongful termination. Ms. Richmond, I'm going to start with you. When did you begin working for Ms. Spaulding?
For Miss Spaulding was on approximately...
Month and year.
It would have been April of 2018.
And in what month did your daughter need school clothes?
She would have started school around August the 9th of this year, and they went and got the school clothes around July the 12th.
Before you went to work for her, did you know Miss Spaulding? Were you friends?
Before working for Miss...
The pizza shop?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
A different one or the same one?
Different one.
So they have two pizza shops?
Yes, at the time they did.
How many times prior to April of 2018, when you started working for Miss Spaulding, had you seen her?
A couple times a week for a couple of years.
And had she ever met your daughter?
Yes. My daughter would come down there with me to sometimes sit and work or whatever.
I'd like you to tell me, Miss Richmond, how you first broached the subject with Miss Spaulding about your daughter's clothes.
I didn't approach the subject. I was in a very upset mood one day when I went to work. Miss Spaulding asked me what the matter was, and I told her that a lot of stress, school was fixing to start, I didn't have the money for school clothes, and she said, let me take Meredith shopping. She said, I'll get her some school clothes. I do not have my granddaughter this year. I would love to spend money on Meredith for school clothes.
let me take her shopping for school clothes. Don't embellish it. Let me take her shopping for school clothes. And she did. And that was in July.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor.
Shh.
Okay.
She took your daughter for clothes. Your daughter came home with the clothes?
Yes.
In July, you saw them all?
Yes.
When, for the first time, did Miss Spaulding ask you for any money for them?
The day after she pretty much said, I no longer work for her.
Just a minute. What date was that?
August 23rd.
Between the time she went shopping in July and August, got the money for the school clothes.
Anytime anything was said about it, it was, don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it.
No, I want you to tell me what was said. Miss Richmond, don't say don't worry about it. If there was a conversation, I want to hear about it. She took your daughter shopping. Your daughter came home. You saw the clothes. You had to have gone into work the next day and said that was wonderful. She was very happy. That's what a normal parent would say.
I said that those clothes costed way too much money. I would have never spent that kind of money on school clothes. And
so
it was said, don't worry about it. You're not paying for it.
And she said, don't worry about it. And that was the very next day.
Within a couple of days, ma'am.
And that was July 23rd, did you say?
Clothes were bought July 12th.
July 12th.
It would have been just a few days after July 12th.
July 12th. Did you get paid between July 12th and August 23rd?
Yes.
Are you paid weekly?
Sometimes weekly, sometimes daily.
And when you get paid daily, give me an idea of what you would be paid daily.
Approximately $70 to $100, depending on whether I'd done any deliveries that day.
Okay. And between July 12th or 14th and August 23rd, did Miss Spaulding take any money out of your wages?
No.
Is that correct, Miss Spaulding? That you took no money out of her wages?
No.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Despite the fact that you claim she owed you. When, for the first time, did you demand that she pay you?
When was the first time?
First time. Date, and if you have any evidence, I'd like to see it.
Yes.
I'd like to see.
Bring it.
No. Does it have a date on it? You have a lot
Yes, they
of
do.
papers.
All these have dates.
Okay, when was the first time you asked her for the money? Give me the date. Look there and give me the date. You say that's evidence. Then you're going to show it to me.
All right, this is the day that I took her shopping. It was probably 12, 13, 14, 15, maybe the 20th after that.
Show me. You say you have something on the 20th where you ask her for the money.
No.
Miss Spaulding, my question is, I'm going to rephrase it. Maybe you'll understand it. After you took Miss Richmond's daughter shopping, when for the first time do you have proof that you asked her for the money back?
Only proof that I have that I've asked her for. Okay.
That's not what I asked you. When for the first time do you have proof that you asked her for the money back? Because now you've paid her over a 6-week period of time and you haven't deducted anything. Instead of giving her 70, 60, or 50, you're saying, listen, I'm going to deduct some money for the school clothes that you owe me. So what I want to know is between July 14th and August 23rd, when was the first time that you can prove to me that you asked her for money?
There's nothing written down as far as proof.
And for the first time, did you ask her for money?
A week after I took her daughter shopping.
Then
and
why
we
didn't you
discussed
take,
it.
Then why didn't you take any money out of her pay?
I didn't.
Why didn't? My question is, why
Because
didn't you? You were giving her money. She owed you $600.
Yes, because she needed her money for other things. And I'm like, Angie, you can pay me back at $50 a week. And I have witness for that she could pay me back. But I did not take it out of her check because she needed her money. She had to pay rent, and I got a big heart. You know.
Good. That's what I thought.
I have a big heart. And Meredith is a good girl, and she needed clothes. And I also realized that Angie had other things to do, and I could afford to help her pay it. But I wanted my money back.
Okay, I got it. Okay, you have a counterclaim for wrongful termination.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did she fire you because of your age?
No.
Did she fire you because of your race?
No.
Did she fire you because of a physical disability?
No.
Did she fire you because of religion?
No.
Did she fire you because of your sexual orientation?
No.
She fired you because she no longer wanted you to work there. She thought that you had stolen from her.
Stolen, no longer doing my job
Just
performance.
a second.
Yes,
Whatever.
ma'am.
Oh, stolen, no longer doing your job. She's allowed to do that. It's her place of business. She's allowed to say, you know what, I don't like you anymore. Your presence, I don't like the smell of your cologne, whatever it is, as long as she's not firing you based upon one of the enumerated things, she's allowed to do that. It's her business.
Ma'am, yes.
Okay, right? I think you bought her daughter presents. Your case is dismissed.
No, I did
We're
not.
done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I think the judge made a good decision and everything.
Actually, the reason why I sued Angie It's because
it was between them two. They went. She said she wanted to buy her school clothes.
she made no effort. She made nothing. They've made it personal.
Very upset. I couldn't believe they kind of spent that kind of money.
Yeah, she did. She said, I would have never spent that kind of money. She did, but
I would have never spent that kind of money on those school clothes.
she didn't have decent clothes.
And I hate it that it all come to this.
There's really no way to protect yourself, you know?
Don't get involved with your friendship, boss, mixture, kind of thing like that. It don't mix.
They come in with cheap clothing, and when they're there for a few months, they show their true colors.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Stein versus Jensen. Step forward.
Wendy Stein is suing her grandson's former friend, 20-year-old Dylan Jensen, for damage to a jet ski.
Miss Stein, your grandson, I assume that's this young man.
Yes.
Invited a friend over to your lake house. You had a couple of jet skis. They were out with friends. They were on your jet skis. It is your claim that jet skis, you want him to pay for your insurance deductible. He said the accident wasn't his fault, but I'm sort of confused about some of the math that you did, so I don't understand it. So I have to get back to some numbers. When did you purchase these jet skis? In what year?
Let me get my title out, Your Honor. I bought these October 2016.
Did you buy them new or used?
Used.
Who did you buy them from?
I bought it from a gentleman on Facebook.
You have a bill of sale.
I do not. I just have the titles.
We're getting where I'm going.
Okay.
You bought them in 2016. They were used. What year were they? Were they different years? Or
They're both exactly 1999.
So they're 20 years old.
Yes.
And you had them insured. You had some insurance on them.
Yes.
Both collision and liability.
Yes.
When you bought them in 2016, how much did you pay for them?
$3,500, which included the trailer.
So you bought a trailer and 2 jet skis for $3,500 in 2016. Is that correct?
Yes, and also the lifts that the jet skis go on.
Well, you still have the jet ski lift, and you still have the thing that tows it.
Yes.
And after this accident, which took place on what date?
August 4th this year.
The insurance company was going to total the jet skis, so they wrote you a check for how much?
They totaled them either way.
They wrote you a check for how much?
A total of $1,446 was my net amount.
And did you use the jet skis in the summer of 2016?
All summer until the accident.
You used them in 2016. And did you use the jet skis in 2017?
Yes.
For how many months?
Oh, probably 5.
In 2016 and 17. This accident happened in August of 2018, so I assume that you used the jet skis for 2 or 3 months in 2018.
Yes.
And where are each of the jet skis now?
In my garage.
So you have possession of them?
Yes.
And you also have possession of the lift for the jet skis that you purchased, and the other piece of equipment that tows the jet skis?
Correct.
Now I know where we're at.
Okay.
Just a second. And you weren't there when this incident happened?
Correct.
Good. You want to tell me what happened?
Yes, Your Honor. We were invited, Austin.
You were out playing. How old are you?
20.
17, 18, 19, 20. It's all the same. They're all 6. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we were out on the lake. We were enjoying some fun. I've never been on a jet ski before, so it was an experience I wanted to have fun with, something to do.
Listen, Dr. Phil may be interested in what you experienced, what happened that caused the accident.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The person in the back doesn't steer the jet ski.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, you knew that.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
The passenger doesn't steer the wheel. The person who's in front of the steering wheel steers the car. That's why you call them the driver.
Yes, Your Honor.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Wendy Stein says her grandson's former friend, Dylan Jensen, damaged her jet ski during an outing on a lake.
You want to tell me what happened?
Your Honor, we were out on the lake. We were enjoying some fun. I've never been on a jet ski before, so it was an experience I wanted to have fun with, something to do.
Listen, Dr. Phil may be interested in what you experienced, what you wanted. I, on the other hand, I'm interested in what happened that caused the accident.
I was stopped in the lake, and as I slowed down
Were you
the jet skis...
driving?
Yes, I was steering.
You were steering, so you were in the front.
I was in the back of the jet ski. A friend was in front, and I was steering.
Oh, well, that's stupid. Well, that's stupid.
Your Honor, it was I've never been on a jet ski before.
Well, I mean, I was never on a jet ski before a few years ago, and now I like riding on it, but the person who's in the front controls the jet ski. The person who's in the life jacket, or more so if you want to cuddle, but the person in the back doesn't steer the jet ski.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, you knew that.
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you drive a car?
Yes, Your Honor.
The passenger doesn't steer the wheel. The person who's in front of the steering wheel steers the car. That's why you call them the driver.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the other one is a passenger. All right. Listen, I have no sympathy for you, Miss Stein. When you let a 17 or an 18 or a 19 or a 20-year-old kid drive a jet ski, you have to assume that they're going to be irresponsible. It's a given. It's a given.
All of my grandchildren, every one of them has boat safety under their belt.
Well, then it's your fault if you're the grown-up. If you let somebody who has no experience drive your jet ski, and if something happened to him, you would be responsible. I'm just letting you know.
Sure, but I didn't know that he
know.
wasn't driving.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's your fault.
Okay, I don't agree.
I'm telling you, it's your fault. If he had an accident on the jet ski and he was seriously injured, his mother would sue you and win.
His girlfriend was
Just pay attention to my mouth.
Okay.
Turn off your mouth.
Okay.
On with the ears. If he had an accident on a jet ski in your house.
Yes.
And he was hurt badly or worse, his parents would sue you.
Correct.
And they would win.
Correct.
So it's your fault. But he's an idiot. But when I tell you that when you have a 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kid out on jet skis, I know, I just came from a vacation with my grandchildren, they all act like idiots.
Yes, yes.
Even some of them who are 50 act like idiots.
Yes.
So the reason I asked you all those questions about finances is you came out ahead of the game on this one.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So to avoid getting actually hit by his jet ski, I lifted up the front end, which is why the damage is under the jet ski. And then I got a little cut up. His girlfriend got bruised in her thighs.
And nobody sued your grandmother?
Nope.
That's really nice of them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Wendy Stein says her grandson's former friend, Dylan Jensen, damaged her jet ski during an outing on a lake.
You're suing him for your insurance deductible. You're suing him for picking up one of the jet skis. You bought the jet skis. You paid $3,000 for the jet skis because you got a whole bunch of other accoutrements with it. They're 20 years old. Insurance company gave you $1,500. You still have the jet skis.
Can I explain?
No,
Okay.
That's nothing to explain. That's simple math.
Okay.
That's math.
Okay.
So I don't feel a winner.
Correct.
Right. You want to be a super winner.
Well, I pay insurance premiums.
So you want to have jet skis and teenage grandchildren driving them, you pay premiums. You have a house at the lake, you have homeowners insurance, then you pay premiums on a jet ski.
Sure.
And if the insurance company says, do you have jet skis, they're going to increase your insurance.
Yes.
Of course. I know. Been there.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, if I had one of my grandchildren who had a friend over and they acted irresponsibly and they were negligent in causing an accident, I wouldn't sue them. You sort of take that on with the task of allowing 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds and 15-year-olds to invite young friends over and use your jet skis, that there's going to be an accident. I may feel differently and a little more sympathetic if you bought jet skis for $5,000 and they were brand new and they were damaged. But you bought 20-year-old jet skis, you got most of your money back, you had 3 years' worth of enjoyment with them with your family, so I don't feel so terrible for you. You want to stand up and tell me what happened? Fast. You're the grandson.
Yep, so what happened is we were out there. My girlfriend was behind me. They first left.
Your girlfriend was behind you on the same jet ski?
Yes.
Okay.
His girlfriend was in front of him. They took off first. They were riding around. He was getting the feel for the jet skis. Then we got mine going, went out in the lake, and then we were riding our girlfriend. We were just sitting in the water. We were talking, and then Dylan was driving towards us. I was assuming he was either going to splash us or he was going to talk to us or something. But instead of, stopping, he ended up just hitting our front end. You
think he did that on purpose?
He didn't.
You think he did that because he was an inexperienced driver?
Yes.
Because if he did it on purpose, then he would have fallen off and the girlfriend would have fallen off, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So to avoid getting actually hit by his jet ski, I lifted up the front end, which is why the damage is under the jet ski. So if you want the pictures, we have it.
I'm not interested.
We got hit from behind under, and then his nose crunched into our bottom. And then I got a little cut up. His girlfriend got bruised in her thighs from the impact. Made sure everyone was okay. We went back.
And nobody sued your grandmother?
Nope.
That's really nice.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You think he did that on purpose?
He didn't.
Because if he did it on purpose, then he would have fallen off and the girlfriend would have fallen off, right?
Yeah. So to avoid getting actually hit by his jet ski, I lifted up the front end, and then his nose crunched into our bottom, made sure everyone was okay. We went back.
And nobody sued your grandmother?
Nope.
That's really nice. Your girlfriend didn't sue your grandmother under her homeowners? That's really nice of them, right?
Yes.
Your case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I told him how you need to push the gas to turn, and he neglected of doing that.
I was inexperienced. I didn't know what the jet skis entailed.
It makes absolutely no sense because I raised my front end up. You can't raise your front end up when you're driving.
I was nervous being on a jet ski.
I raised it up so it didn't come up and over us, hit the bottom of the jet ski, rolled around, and we came back.
We were stopped and he hit us in the water and just trying to show off and splashing us.
Made sure everyone was okay. He was screaming. We made it back. Everyone was kind of okay. His girlfriend had bruised.
Yes, we drove him back to the crank-ups and we cranked him up out of the water.
Thighs, I had a cut on my leg. Other than that, we just made it back.
He probably doesn't like me.
It was never really a strong friendship.
Probably won't do it again.
She was more responsible.
Because now she's acting like an idiot. Did she ever give you this attitude, or is it just me?
Judge, it has to just be you.
No cares after crashing Grandma's car.
The accident was clearly her fault.
Right.
I wouldn't let her drive a scooter.
That was my fault.
I don't care what you believe. What you believe is totally irrelevant to me.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Ronelle Hector is suing her granddaughter, 19-year-old DeJean Hector, for damaging her car when she had an accident on the freeway.
Order. All rise. It's case number 341 on the calendar in the matter of Hector versus Hector.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Miss Hector, the defendant is your 19-year-old granddaughter.
Correct.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 and 1 is deceased.
And how many grandchildren?
6.
How old are they?
She's the oldest, which is 19, 17, 8.
Okay, then the rest of them are younger.
Right.
So, Miss Hector, you appear to be an intelligent woman. You raised lots of teenagers.
Yes.
What do you know? I
They
did too.
hard-headed. They are hard-headed.
When do they lie?
Ooh. Let's see. I want to say around 13, 14.
I would say that that's probably about right. And eyes are moving.
You right.
So this is what your case is about.
Right.
There's only one attitude here. Stand up. Your granddaughter was driving your car.
Correct.
And she had certain rules if she was going to be using your car that you gave her.
Correct.
You can only stay in the neighborhood. You can't go to another state. You can't have other people in the car. All of those things.
All that.
Yeah. So she drove the car. There were other people in the car. She had an accident, and she was in another state.
Correct. Glad she's still here with us.
Did she hurt anybody?
No, thankful. That was my first thought. Are you all right?
Do you know if she had kids in the car, and if any of them were hurt, they would have sued you?
Yes.
And they would have won.
Yeah.
And they would have won because you gave permission to your granddaughter to drive your car. Now, if she's irresponsible, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Because you gave permission to an irresponsible driver to drive your car. So the passengers in the car, who probably knew they weren't even supposed to be in the car, could have sued you successfully if they were hurt. Not to mention, if she was in an accident and she hurt somebody else, they sure would have sued you. What did I tell you about attitudes? Down. Perfect. Stand up straight. Great. Better. Now, your grandmother gave you permission to drive her car?
Yes.
And she said to you nobody else was supposed to drive the car?
Yes.
And she said she didn't want any other kids in the car?
I don't know.
You don't know. Did she tell you she didn't want you to drive out of state?
No.
No. Did she tell you to be careful?
all the time.
Well, when she let you drive her car, what were the rules, if any, that she gave you?
There was not. I don't recall. Just be careful and don't hit nothing.
Well, that's good advice. Well, on what date did you hit something?
Maybe last, I don't recall.
Miss Hector, is she acting for me today, or is this what her attitude is?
This is it.
Then I wouldn't have let her have a car. Why did you let that attitude
She was
have
more
a car?
responsible.
You mean when she was asking for the car? Because now she's acting like an idiot.
Right. When she was asking for the car, I didn't get none of this attitude.
I mean, did she ever give you this attitude, or is it just me?
Judge, it has to just be you.
Yeah, well, I have that effect on people sometimes. They get stupid. You know, they're smart outside, they come in here, and they leave their brains at the exit sign.
Right.
So tell me about the accident, Miss Hector.
Well, I was driving on the highway to Kentucky.
What were you doing in Kentucky?
Oh, taking a friend to an interview. So when I was coming back, I was driving, and I spun around and was facing the way of the direction of the traffic. And she was on the other side of the road. Then, it's when I called my granny and told her what happened, and the other lady called the police officer. And then when they arrived to the scene, he just asked what happened, driver's license, insurance, this, that, and the third. And the police officer was kind of rude because he asked, well, like, where was I going to take the car? And I told him I had AAA. He told me that they were not going to wait for AAA because they take forever, so they got their own tow company. And then they just gave me pieces of paper saying where the car was and how to get in contact for the incident report and stuff like that. And then I went to the hospital because my head was hurting.
Do you have a copy of the police report?
I don't.
Miss Hector, do you have a copy of the police report? I'd like to take a look at it. Where's your car now, Miss Hector?
Car is at Silver Grove and is totaled.
So what you did, Miss Hector, is, according to the independent witness, you came across from the high-speed lane, across all the lanes of traffic, to exit at the right. That's what the witness, that's not the other lady. That's a witness that the police found. And that's when the accident took place. So clearly, based upon what I read here in the police, the accident was clearly her fault.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, part of the problem is your judgment in letting her use the car to begin with. I think that she, however, has to have some responsibility. Right now, I'm not getting the sense that she senses any responsibility. Her answer to this case was it was the woman's fault she hit her in the rear. It was not the woman's fault because your granddaughter was not driving carefully. She came from a high-speed lane all the way over to the right to exit, and the gray SUV, according to the independent witness, had no time to respond and hit her. But that was her fault.
Correct.
So she's got to take responsibility. She says she doesn't remember any what?
I don't believe that it was my fault because nobody got a ticket for this.
I don't care what you believe. What you believe is totally irrelevant to me. What you acknowledged before to me was that you came over from the left-hand lane to the exit lane, which you can't do. That's what you acknowledged to me before.
I was still in the left-hand lane of the accident. I never went from the exit. I was still in the left-hand lane.
Going to read what the independent witness said in the police report. Once back at the office, this officer contacted Mr. Meller, the witness who stopped on the scene. When I asked Mr. Meller about what he saw, he stated that he was about 4 to 5 car lengths back in the middle lane heading east on 275, all lanes of traffic to catch the exit ramp. At that time, he stated, the gray SUV had no time to react. That's the independent witness. Did you understand what I just read?
I mean, yes, but, you know, I'm a teenager African-American. You know, they were Caucasian, and so was the police officer. And then he drove off. So how can he even talk to the police officer when he drove off? He stopped to ask, was the lady okay? He ain't talked to no police officer.
First of all, could you lower your voice about 2 octaves? Lower your voice about 2 octaves, like mine. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. You want me to read it to you again? Do you want me to read it to you again? I don't care whether the police were black, white, chartreuse, yellow, or green. What difference does it make? A witness who had no axe to grind stopped at the accident long enough to give the police officer his name and his telephone number so that he could be a witness. A very good citizen. He didn't stop because you were black. He stopped because you were driving. I'm speaking. Lower the octave. He stopped because he witnessed an accident that was your fault and he wanted to tell the police about it. That's being a good citizen. Miss Hector, stay in the amount of $1,250. Half of it is your fault. I wouldn't let her drive a scooter.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I really agree with Judge Judy. It is my fault.
I don't think it was right.
I should have thought more better on my granddaughter.
I don't think it's right to sue anybody in the family.
No, I haven't heard her say I'm sorry, Granny, not one time.
Yes, I did. I apologize.
I'm just glad we had this experience to come in so somebody else could tell her that she needs help.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeMarco versus Cortini. Step forward.
24-year-old Sean DeMarco is suing his former dog sitter, 21-year-old Kaylee Cortini, for the cost to retrieve a car, a false restraining order, and harassment.
Miss Cortini, you worked for Mr. DeMarco as a dog sitter for a period of time. For how long?
About 4 months.
During that time, you charged him a certain amount of money to walk his dog?
Correct. I had her 24 hours a day.
How much did you charge him to walk his dog?
I let him know as long as he paid for her vet bills, food costs, and all that stuff, that was our agreement. He never paid.
Why?
I asked him several times. He had said that he was broke and trying to get into a house because he was currently living in a hotel. I had her 24 hours a day.
Where were you living?
In Woodland Hills.
With whom? Your grandmother's house?
Yes.
He didn't keep the dog at his house?
No, Your Honor.
Is that right?
That is true.
How did you meet Miss Cortini?
Your Honor, Miss Cortini volunteered to...
I asked you a question. How did you meet Miss Cortini?
I had posted an ad on Craigslist stating that I would pay for my...
Okay. How did you meet him?
He had posted an ad on Craigslist. I responded.
That said what?
He was looking for a dog sitter. He had nowhere to live, and he didn't want to take the dog to the shelter.
Did he say what kind of a dog it was?
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of a dog?
A golden retriever.
How old?
He said 2 years old.
So he said he was homeless, didn't want to take the dog to a shelter. He would pay for food, etc. If somebody would take the dog while he was looking for a home. Is that what the idea of
Yes,
the
Your
breaks? Why in the world would you answer that ad?
I wish I didn't.
And you kept the dog with you for 4 months?
Correct, Your Honor.
What were you doing during those 4 months, Mr. DeMarco?
I was looking for housing. I am here today over Miss Cortini's stealing my...
I don't care what you're here for today. I'm getting a whole different feel for this case than when I first read your complaint, sir. So Miss Cortini took care of your dog for 4 months, and you didn't pay her at all? Is not an answer. The answer is no.
She never asked to be paid. She volunteered.
I was a stranger to you, took care of your dog for 4 months, and you didn't pay her.
Correct.
Good. Slightly different story from what I read in your complaint, sir, which suggested that she was your dog sitter, which suggests to one that I have a dog and somebody comes in maybe once a day to sit with my dog or takes it out for a walk twice a day. But in this case, Miss Cortini took the dog of a stranger and took care of it. And you did nothing while you were homeless, but you had a car.
Your Honor, I did try and get the dog back, but Miss Cortini would not give me the dog. I went there with the police on several occasions.
Mr. DeMarco, was that before or after the car?
It was after she stole the vehicle.
Oh, okay. I'm not interested.
She stole the vehicle on...
Listen to me, sir. I'm going to tell this story now because the complaint that you wrote was very, very one-sided.
No.
Now, I'm getting a different impression of the case, so I'm going to explore it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When you got the dog from him, the dog was already pregnant?
She had puppies 3 days after I got her.
How did that happen?
I would just like to say that...
I didn't ask you what you would like to say. I asked you how did it happen that you were so irresponsible to have this dog and be pregnant?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Shaw stepped her bounds as a dog sitter. He is suing for a car taken without permission, a false restraining order, and harassment.
What you said in your complaint, and just pay careful attention. What, you want out?
No.
Great. What you said in your complaint was Miss Cortini was your dog walker, and she said she wanted to buy your car.
Correct.
And you agreed on a price. She gave you a down payment. According to her, she told you don't cash the check for a couple of days. You went to try to cash the check, and the check bounced. Miss Cortini had taken the car, and by the time you tried to get it back, she had forged the title, sold it to somebody else. Police were involved, and ultimately you got your car back and you're suing her for $5,000 for keeping your car and the costs incurred in getting your car back, et cetera, et cetera. That's what your case is. What we didn't say was that she really had no connection with you other than she was being a good Samaritan and taking care of your dog for 4 months. Now I'm going to go back to Miss Cortini. There came a time when you made an arrangement with him to purchase his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And that car was an
Audi A6.
For how much?
$800.
That was the total purchase price?
Yes, it had a bad motor, so it was on its last leg.
What year Audi?
I believe it was
$800.
Correct.
So I want you to understand, I don't buy that.
He did owe me, you know, part of the agreement was he owed me so much money for taking care of his dog. It was kind of a compromise.
So now let's go back. Uncross your hands. When you agreed to take the dog and babysit for it, did you make an arrangement with him to get paid?
Yes.
And how much were you supposed to get paid?
He was supposed to pay for all of her vet bills, all of her food costs and care. I received $40 one time in 4 months.
So he wasn't supposed to pay you. He was supposed to take care of all of her food.
Correct.
And her vet bills.
Correct.
Did you have to take her to the vet?
I did have to take her one time, yes.
Do you have the bill for that?
I do not.
Well, then...
Yeah.
And over the course of 4 months, how much did it cost to feed his dog?
I calculated about $187 with the food she was eating.
A week?
She has a severe liver issue and she doesn't process food. She came to me 43 pounds underweight, which is part of the reason I was a little bit hesitant. I had worked so hard to get her weight back and get her healthy again.
Do you have a photograph of her?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Sorry, sir. 1 second.
Your Honor.
I'm not at you yet.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She hasn't given me the dog or the puppies because she's not giving me the dogs back because she got mad because I'm suing her over the car, and she didn't tell you that part. She's leaving.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Sean DeMarco says Kaylee Cortini overstepped her bounds as a dog sitter. He is suing for a car taken without permission, a false restraining order, and harassment.
Do you have a photograph of her?
I do.
I'd like to take a look at it.
Here you go. Sorry, sir. 1 second.
Your Honor.
I'm not at you yet.
1 second, sir. That was her pregnant, Your Honor. That's why she has such a big stomach.
When you took the dog from him, was the dog pregnant?
Yes.
She had puppies?
She had 5 on my couch and cost me $1,000 to get a new couch for my grandmother.
What did you do with the puppies?
I still have them, Your Honor.
When did she have them?
Very beginning of July.
So when you got the dog from him, the dog was already pregnant?
She had puppies 3 days after I got her.
How did that happen?
I would just like to say that...
I didn't ask you what you would like to say. I don't care what you would like to say. I asked you, how did it happen that you were so irresponsible to have this dog, not neutered, and be pregnant?
Well, the dog was pregnant when I was out of town by a friend of mine.
Who was taking care of your dog?
My dog got pregnant by another dog because the dog was not fixed. And that's...
A dog that wasn't fixed.
I guess because I was irresponsible. And
that's perfect answer.
Right.
Because you were irresponsible.
Right.
Now you're irresponsible and you leave your dog with somebody else.
Right. And I didn't want to get rid of the dog. That's why I was trying to find a pet sitter. But I would like to say there's 2 separate cases and there's already been a judgment pending for the dog issue in Long Beach that Ms. Cortini has not told you. And that's why I'm trying to let you know.
Just a second. So there is another case pending with regard to what and the dog?
That we're waiting for the judgment in the mail over the dog. And that's why I haven't paid her yet for the dog because we're waiting for the judgment in the mail.
You haven't paid her what for the dog?
For the care, the time, all of that, because she hasn't given me the dog or the puppies, because she's not giving me the dogs back, because she got mad because I'm suing her over the car, and she's not giving me my dog back. And she didn't tell you that part.
I wouldn't give you your dog back. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't give you your dog back.
I just would like to let you know I have an emergency protective order. I previously had one. He's relentlessly harassing me and my father, and he's not left me alone for the last 3 months.
I wouldn't give him the dog back.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook.
The dog is 2 years old, and she
Just
doesn't...
a second. The dog is 2 years old. First, the dog was with somebody else who negligently allowed your dog to get pregnant. Then you were homeless.
No,
And
I was never homeless. I was in the process of moving from Northern California to Southern California, and I didn't want to get rid of the dog, so that's why I had her...
Why did you have to get rid of the dog for?
Because I was living in a hotel because my landlord wouldn't let me keep the dog while I was moving from Northern California to Southern California, and I didn't want to get rid of the dog, so that's why I had her pet sit for me while I was looking for a house down here in LA County.
Pet sitting requires payment.
I was going to pay her.
Just a second. Pet sitting requires payment.
I told her...
How much did you pay her?
I was going to pay her,
Going to pay her how much?
She told me that she didn't
Going to pay her how much?
We never agreed on the price.
Mr. DeMarco, I'm not doing this case in a bifurcated way. So when you get the decision from the judge in Long Beach County, you
yeah.
come back here and talk to me. I want to see what the judge in Long Beach does with regard to the dog. Then you can come back. All right.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.